Hear you. I'm good. Well, good all things considering. Just subjective. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week 2 of the Smite Little League. Back at it again. It is myself and Illy, and today we're going to be going over some of the EU games. We have Team 3 versus No Ducks Given.
Hey, talk about No Ducks Given. What a name! And really, I'm looking at these two drafts, and the first thing that I see is holy crowd control from both of these teams.
Yeah, there is a lot of crowd control coming out. Humbat's the party monkey, dude is an alt bot if you need him to be, but there's also a lot of damage coming out from these two teams. Don't let this fool you that it's all CC and no payoff for it. Humbat swings pretty damn hard. Artemis. Sorry, just a bit of an issue there with technical things. We actually haven't physically started there, so we're going to have to resync real quick. We'll get that sorted in just a moment. But as you're mentioning, just with regards to the team comps and things, there, like you mentioned, a lot of CC, a lot of it.
Absolutely. I'm looking at Cerberus, I'm looking at Artemis, Scylla, Hunbots, Achilles, Bologna, Daji, Agni. All 10 of these characters have crazy amounts of crowd control.
Indeed. And it's interesting to see that as well. We actually see that Toothless is actually going to be looking to go Aegis instead of that. And that, if anyone's got No Ducks Given, it's Toothless right now.
Toothless, though, is on Artemis. And Artemis is sitting there with the CC Immune Ultimate. Tusky is going to be a big part of this this level 5 section. I'm just worried about pre-level 5.
It's definitely scary, and it's going to come up to Chiron to try and make sure that Yoda isn't in a position for that right now. So just going to cut to a short little break here while we get things sorted out. We don't want to spoil too much ahead of things, so give us a little moment and we'll be right back.
I just restarted because I thought we were... Okay.
Okay, sorry about that little issue, ladies and gentlemen, but we are back now, and as I said before, EU Week 2 of the Smite Little League Series. No Ducks Given versus Team 3, and we mentioned a little bit before about the high CC potential on these teams, but one of the things that I had a little think on is when these teams get their CC and high online, Team 3, a lot of it is going to be in the ultimates, far more so than for No Ducks Given here.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And there's definitely something to be said about that. You're mentioning the Ultimates have a lot of the CC. Well, that just means that Team 3 has to be a little bit more disciplined about when they can push 4. Whereas No Ducks Given, well, kind of like their name suggests, they can just throw out abilities whenever they want to. Generally, as long as they hit them, they'll be fine.
I mean, Taunt or Confound is on an 18-second cooldown from Athena. Like, every 18 seconds, I want to be seeing that. As soon as these two teams make their way into the lane and get each other spotted out, as we see in the duo lane, a little bit of poke going the way of Team 3. I want to see them. I want to be recognizing, hey, Toothless doesn't have bleeds. Doesn't have beads. I want this Dargy to make the rotation from speed buff. I want that to red buff, and I want an early, very early invade over on this left-hand side if I'm seeing an Artemis without beads here.
That's difficult, though, because they picked Cerberus, and Cerberus does one thing really, really well, and he kills creeps at level 1 better than almost any other Guardian in the game. And not to mention, Jingwei has the worst push of any hunter in Smite.
Indeed. Well, it looks like the two of them are just going to trade it out. Fair enough. Go back to their own buffs. Make sure neither one of them gets an advantage against the other. Mid lane, Agni having a bit of a fun time. You mentioned Godzu struggle in the early clear. Scylla is one of the predominant I suck at clearing creeps early.
Yeah, and that's kind of her claim to fame, right? She's forced to get her Sentinel at level 2. Sentinel is one of those abilities that you actually, generally you get your escape at level 2.
Sentinel is not one of those for Scylla because you just need the clear.
Well, and Scylla, it's conditional. You hold the point.
Yeah.
So at level 2, generally you don't have a point in any ability but your crush. And then if you can get away with it, you put your point into your second.
That's a pretty good idea for working with it. Dargy though has made the way over to the mid lane as well. A little bit of a spat for the right side oracles. Oh, sorry, right side mid camps did go the way of No Ducks Given, giving them a small lead as it currently stands. They will also use that pressure of clearing just to clear out these other oracles as well. And you see Agni dashing aggressively here. He can kind of get away with it so far.
Man, they've got so much pressure in the mid lane, though, on No Ducks Given. Those red buffs were up for 2 minutes before
way too long.
Of them killed. They were up for way too long. One of those teams needed to take the pressure. Maybe instead of killing right camps, you take the pressure in mid lane
down and invade it.
Red. Right, because that is more contested because it belongs to the other team.
Then also means that if things go well, they can swing around over to the dual lane where, as you mentioned, Kerberos kills creeps better than anyone else. And here's what I mentioned, Dargy gank level 3. Looking around for it. It's a good bait, but they're 2 level 3s. Athena taking a huge amount of damage from the Ghastly Breath. Dargy has made the rotation. Stricter Spirit into the Artemis, who Aegises a lot of the damage. But now that that's down and the meditation, he's going to back up and call it a win, or at least a tie.
That was so unfortunate for No Ducks Given. If Daji had waited until Athena hit 3, then Athena would have had taunt. So the problem is you ganked maybe like half a wave too early. And that really does matter, especially when you're up against something where you have no lane pressure. You have to kill them. We mentioned no beads for Artemis. Daji works really, really, really poorly against someone that Aegises out all of your damage.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that come out. Horrible burns after Trickster Spirit. The dot damage from 1,000 cuts just gets completely ignored. And this is really going to understand that idea of, hey, if I'm an Artemis and I'm going to get ganked level 4, like, nobody's going to have ultimates. I don't need to worry about the CC from it. It's just raw damage. So we mentioned earlier that Toothless playing a little bit ballsy, as it were, but actually he's playing with his head. Like, really good recognition there.
It's great pre-level 5. But
True.
then once Daji hits level 5, all of a sudden I'm really scared because Tusky doesn't hit Daji if Tusky's already dead before Daji hits the ground.
And also as well, yes, you've managed to successfully Aegis out a load of the damage. what happens when Daji comes around in a minute and does it again?
Right. And the meditation out of Cerberus might be the answer to that. You know, you saw the meditation happen almost the same time as the meditation, well, as the Aegis rather, and the meditation's almost back up again. Meditation's an active that I really don't favor in support because it scales off the levels. Actually, Cerberus is getting poked here.
Very high damage. Dashes forward from both Jingwei as well, but the trap isn't good enough. Sand Crash crashes through for first blood onto Chiron. Awkward situation. Very good abuse there of just Chiron trying to clear the wave.
No, that's a Cerberus.
Really? Are we gonna do this? We gonna do
it's
this?
the old Paul Freya conundrum right there, my friend. But no, Artemis is hit 5 and Jingwei doesn't have purification beads. This is a Hunbot gank waiting to happen, and the red buff is up right now for Nodux Given.
Well, Nodux will drop their way back as Gold Fury spawns. Awkward situation, even though Nodux Given come away with the first blood, because Artemis is left to solo the wave, she ends up hitting 5 and getting a little bit more XP over the duo lane of Nodux Given. So she does have that defensive tool of, like you mentioned, the ultimate, but now Athena and Jingwei both do have theirs, and it feels like now is just a little bit of a farm fest. I'm feeling mid-game is when these teams are going to start popping off, personally.
Mid-game is going to be super scary for both of these teams because by the time you hit mid-game, yeah, you're hitting damage strides with your items, but I'm looking specifically at Chaos side here. Nodux Given probably really wants to pick up a lot of Magi's. You're not going to have Magi's cloaks online in the mid-game.
Yeah, if you can get those as well, just even if you look at Magi's as objectively, all right, I am not buying beads because I am a support. Magi's cloak at 70 seconds for that CC immunity, and it's CC immunity that happens regardless of what you're going to do, which is a blessing and a curse. Because you don't have to pre-beads it, or it doesn't interrupt you. You just get that CC immunity, so you can keep on keeping on as things work.
A little bit of aggression here in the left lane, but there's a full wave. I don't expect Athena Jingwei to aggress too much into this. Cerberus can't play too aggressively here.
A little bit of a taunt just to throw back some damage, but Suppress the Insolent will do just that. Jingwei being the Insolent in this instance, but she's a Jingwei. She can fly back to lane with her passive, or at least to the tier 2, so she shouldn't miss out on too much farm here.
I tell you, Yoda there's the greediest Athena player I've seen in the wild. He's skipping boots and instead saying straight into Thebes, and in fact, Chiron is doing that as well. This is tricky. It means your supports are going to sit in dual lane for a really long time in the early game.
Ooh, you want to talk about tricky Humba? It's looking around it. Agni dashes aggressively straight into the Fear No Evil. Scylla comes through with a dash. Beats are good from Agni, but it's not good enough to deal with a crush. Trickster Spirit comes into the backside. The Cake Baker puts one in the oven. Humbat's looking for a link, but he gets away with the blink. Daji can't do anything on the Pow Lao. Coming away 2 for 1.
I would have really liked to see Cake Baker look for the Cerberus of the Artemis that were rotating in, but he cancels out the Pow Lao immediately and is unable to get anything else off of that ultimate.
A bit hasty on the cancel there. I agree with you there. Just, you're up there. You may as well see if something's happening, even if it's only a second. That second is, guys, we've just seen Chiron blink over. I have taunt. Let's just pull him in and blow him up, force his ult, do good things. You're up in that ult, you may as well use it. But I can understand the...
Athena coming out on the right-hand side. Achilles trying to invade the back camps, but Hunbot's coming in, playing Savior Daji. 1 HP Achilles has to ult out the Athena dash. Not going to be able to reach
around.
Hunbot.
Double stun. No follow-up is good, though. Sikkim lands onto the Bologna. Crush doesn't get it right here. Over another aggressive dash from Saltastic. Very close on that I'm a Monster mark. Daji just manages to slip away. And as you mentioned, contrast that also slips away with barely any HP left.
And Agni's gone for this early Bancross town, which is letting him get a lot of pressure in the mid lane. Achilles not respecting that, trying to invade the back camps, which is ordinarily good when you have pressure. You have to be super careful if the mid lane is extremely far up.
Especially when it's in with the Scylla. If anyone else can rotate to that effectively, then it wouldn't be as bad. You can be like, all right, I'm a Discordia, I can turn up and help peel. But Scylla doesn't really do much early with regards to CC or damage, so you just kind of have to bite the bullet on that and be like, look, if you're going to do that, and I don't have anyone in mid, you're on your own, pal.
Yeah, and the red buff invade coming out with the pressure based on that kill, and the forcing back to base of the Scylla player.
Jingwei very low. Stygian Torment damage alone did a lot of that work there. It's all very well being CC immune for the Jingwei ult, but Stygian Torment does a lot of damage. Damage, though, looking to be put into the Artemis, who Aegis out a lot of it. Agni's made the rotation. Can't find any follow-up, but the horrible burns will do as their name says. Talking about more burning. Agni looking to put out a stun bomb. Kerberos very low just from horrible burns there. Cake Baker picks up a double kill, and no one from Team 3 seems to be responding.
Well, by the time they would have rotated, it would have been rotating into a 2v4. So
And then you
I
die.
like the decision there from the Hunbots and Scylla just to stay mid, get the farm you can, shove a few waves. But no, good rotation, and this is the problem with the support skipping boots in this game. If you fall behind, it's very hard to keep up.
Very true. And you can see just in terms of the disparity between the stacks on the Gauntlet of Thebes, 6 for Chiron right now and 38 for Yoda Yoda. Bear in mind as well that because of assists, you do get 5 stacks on it. So if you equate, say, 10, 15 of those to stacks because of assists, that's still a huge lead.
Yeah, and Athena has a global ultimate, so you can kind of get away with skipping the boots. I'm still not going to suggest it, but it's definitely more doable.
It feels slightly less punishing or punishable to do.
Yes. Cerberus putting out a little bit of pressure on this left-hand side, but there's no buffs to kill except his own red buff, and I'd like to see Team 3 really make sure that they're able to get their own red buff here.
I want to see Chiron actually drop out this lane. I understand what he's trying to do, get his Artemis ahead, put pressure onto Sandcrash, but he's actually doing the opposite. He's keeping Artemis behind in this instant. They're both the same level. Just at this point, turn around and say, hey, Toothless, you're a big boy. I'm going to go elsewhere, let you solo farm. If Athena turns up, then just play back as best you can. She steps back into trap.
Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because if you rotate early, then your Scylla is trying to get Warlocks that's put behind. If you stay in lane, you can get your boots faster, and your Artemis already has Devo stacks. So I kind of like him staying in this lane. I don't think he's going to help his team by going mid at this point. And you have no pressure against this Agni anyway. And level 8 Cerberus with meditation isn't going to help you in that instance.
Maybe. I guess it's kind of that trade-off idea. Artemis maybe, okay, Artemis doesn't get to be able to solo farm or ends up splitting the farm, but because of that, Mystic Megatron can get a little bit closer to getting that power spike, sitting at level 11 now. So still only a level down, but it's a Scylla. I think at this point you kind of go, I'm kind of okay with that, because as the caster's curse is, one Scylla ult is all you need.
Yeah, or one missed Scylla ult is all you need, because Agni's got 3 of them.
You only need one of them to land. As long as it lands and wins you the team fight, that wins you the game, everything else was all zoning, all baiting, all calculated, all planned.
Team 3 is looking for hyper late game right now with the Scylla with the Oracle Chalice. That is spicy, to say the least. I mean, Scylla wants to get damage items online. All mid laners like power spikes, but she has decided to forego that in favor of wards for the hyper late game.
I like it. It's playing safe. It's playing safer. If you know that you're not going to have pressure and you know that you can get abused, be safe about it. But in terms of wards for this, 3 out of the 4 entrances for the mid lane have actually warded by No Ducks Given. They will manage to strip away the cheeky monkey looking for oracles. One Agni Bomb will secure it. Now fighting over the mid camps. I believe that went 1 apiece, but right hand side, bit of a fight going on. Achilles caught out 3v1 here. Palau is good. Stun is better to keep him safe, but the horrible burns damage will eventually tick in if you can just find one more shot, and there it is. Go Pyro. Go Pyro right here. You have wards on gold. Go Pyro. You have the whole side warded. Go Pyro. Please. Please?
Yeah, I think Pyromancers is a possibility, but I'd also like them just to invade jungle. You know, the backs are up, you know, blue's up. So, sometimes going for Pyromancer can hurt.
It can,
it can. Lane, though, almost soloing Mystic Megatron there. Hunmot's blinking in, trying to get the play.
There's the ult, forces the beads. We'll have the timer on that. Oh, the stun, the monkey bomb. Well, the monkey is there. He could TP to it, but decides not to risk it for the proverbial biscuit. Not even a good biscuit. Probably just like a rich tea. Not even a good one like custard cream. If it was a custard cream, then yeah, you'd risk it.
I mean, if it was a cake baker there, then he definitely would have risked it.
Oh yeah,
Definitely
totally.
would have gotten he would have gotten a full cake, not even a biscuit.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good trade.
That's hashtag worth.
Deals. Yeah, get that trending. That hashtag worth cake. Risk it for the cake.
Risk it for the cake.
Well,
Or at the very least, the person making the cake.
that is true. But you're talking about wards and things. I actually am really happy to see the amount of wards that have been coming out the entirety of this game. Both teams really trying to respect that vision potential, because these two teams, if they can catch someone off guard in a 2v1 or a 3v2, like we saw with Achilles, it is more than likely that no one else is, or no one on your side is going to take super large amounts of damage, just because the amount of CC becomes peel and damage follow up from it is amazing. So I'm very happy to see these two teams put out this much warding, especially this early as well.
Yeah, I don't know what these coaches are doing to their teams right now, but I want to know how they're doing it, because I want to do the same thing to mine, because there's tons of ward vision out in the map, and double Oracle Chalice actually for no ducks given, which is interesting. Athena coming out on the right-hand side, Achilles trying to invade the blue buff.
Oh, we've seen this happen. We've seen this happen before. Paolau pulls the Achilles, gets the stun, but it's not good enough to keep him alive. So Tastica will pick that one up. Did burn all 3 Agni bombs there, but at the end of the day, Agni's ult is like 20 seconds to get a bomb back, and you're fine with just having that being the one-off. As he throws it out, gets some good damage. The taunt was followed by a stun. Oh my god.
Cerberus in reality is not in any danger there, even if the taunt is perfectly timed. You already knew Agni blown a lot of damage. It really looks like Contrast is not on the same page with his team right now. Usually if you want to solo invade blue and draw the rotation, your team's going to try to do something on left, but no buffs were spawning, there was no gold attempt, they didn't even look at oracles.
Awkward situation then, but in terms of the gold lead or anything, it's only a 3 and a bit thousand gold lead, and just shy of 2,000. Kerberos trying to find those oracles, won't find it, eats the second Agni bomb, but will jump away, and now it looks like No Ducks Given might actually just be in a pole position to go straight for this Gold Fury. They're thinking about it.
They could definitely pull this here. I think that would be an intelligent decision, but I'm pretty sure there's some gold in hand right now, and they probably want to. Yeah, Agni's sitting on 2K right now. He would love to.
That's his Soul Reaver. That's his Soul Reaver right there, completely finished, and the Sentry Ward to boot with it. So he would definitely enjoy getting that gold in hand. He should be looking to do it now. He's trying to go for an invade though. Looking for it. Doesn't find anything really, but. Yeah, I want to see him back soon, and I want to set them set up around this Gold Fury. They've got the visions, they've got wards where they need them to be, they've got their ults available to them. If all else fails and Team 3 do show up, you take that fight.
Yep. Red buffs are spawning too, so you can have an Agni with red buff at a Gold Fury, which feels really good, especially when he's power spiking on an item, and you're able to get more vision. I would really like to see No Ducks Given push B on a lot of their members just so they can all set up for the Gold Fury together as a team.
Yeah, especially Jingwei has enough to finish the Executioner in hand, which would be a nice power spike for it, 2 levels up into the Artemis. She can fight into that even against the Ichthol and the additional crit chance from the passive. You can fight that. You have Athena's going to be finishing off Sovereignty shortly, but big crits coming out from Toothless there. Puts Jingwei very low. Now they're going to have to base just because they're so low. Meanwhile, right-hand side, bit more of a fight going on for the Humbats. Taunt is good, and the damage comes through from Saltastica. Puts out a lot of damage, pulling the Fire Giant, which unfortunately wasn't able to do anything, but Megatron comes through. Cake Baker can't get up into the ultimate. I'm a monster off the mark, but puts Agni very low, and Contrast will pick that one up. Athena now turns tail and runs. What the hell happened there? Mystic Megatron picks up a second.
Well, what happened was Achilles went for the fight on the right-hand side exactly like he's happened the last 2 times, except this time...
But he had people with him!
And,
oh no, Athena!
Uh-oh. Goodbye.
Dashes away from Tusky, will fall that out, but 4 members here. Rotation through. Team 3, looking like number 1 right now. I want to see them push for a Gold Fury here. Only Sand Crashers alive. Sure, they've got Yada's ultimate to worry about, but they can burn this Gold Fury here, and they are going for
gold. They could have invaded red. They could have invaded purple. They could have pushed the tower. But I'm saying they could have done multiple of these things. They're choosing to do only gold, But this is something I'd like to see going forward for them. They identify, you know, there's a red buff on the map. Let's kill it while they're all dead instead of waiting after the gold is already.
Well, looking for a bit more of a fight that follows around, looking at this red buff now. I think they wanted to try and potentially push that mid tower as well, but weren't able to get... Sandcrash made the rotation, so they settled for just the Gold Fury. Trickster Spirit, though, pops one. Powwow goes up this time, and Cake Baker picks up one. Aegis comes out. Agni throws out the bomb just in case Bees would come through. But now Artemis is all alone. Oh, but Bologna dashes straight into the freaking trap. You can't be doing that.
And Artemis is on the run right now. I can just hear Jeff Hindle screaming, "Run, scary, run, scary, run, scary," run in the background. As Daiji will pick up the kill. Hunbat's getting low. Agni Bomb to the dome.
I'm a monster. Rips through Cake Baker. Looking for Achilles. Will not be able to find any more damage, but does put Kathina down to half health. This team fight. No, Team 3 were looking for it. No Ducks Given gave response, but they still come out worse for wear to Team 3. I felt like they thought they could fight that more than they actually could.
They went for the red invade, but they did it 30 seconds too late. See, if they go red to gold, then they're fine. But they went gold to red. They'd already blown all of their abilities. They were low. The other team was spawning. They have a Jingwei. It just...
Achilles, you will be missed, my friend. Doesn't matter if only your healer is being hit, because everyone is looking for it. Misses the ultimate. You can't do that either. 3-man Stygian Torment picks up 2, forces Beach from the Jingwei. Actually, it was just a dash, but Mystic doing work right now. Blona forced the Eagles rally away, gets stunned out by Kerberos and that paralyzing spit. Achilles still looking around to follow up any damage, can't find it. It's Agni who stuns him out. Pushed very low, but now Artemis has made the rotation back in. Tusky won't find anyone, but will start on the doors, or the mid camps, as it were. Oh, but now Darcy, it's a bait! Gets 2 people immediately!
And pull in our 2 members. Daji trying to clean things up. And there's the Hunbat's ult on the backline, deleting Sandcrash. Daji on the run, but the slow from Cerberus, paralyzing spit, almost up.
Hunbat finds the kill with the overhand smash. Will be very happy about that one. Beads is early. Not sure what he was exactly beating there, but Taunt Kerberos should be the sacrificial lamb here. Pyromancer will go the way of Team 3. Looks like actually Kerberos might be making his way out here. He's just getting run down like a dog, but he's kind of fine.
He is the dog in this situation, literally. I mean,
that's true.
He is, in fact, 3 puppers and a snack.
That's true. I tell you something that I like imagining. I like imagining that... Which head do you think is the one that's talking for his VGS?
The left.
I like to imagine it as the snake. I really like to imagine it that the deep booming voice is the snake.
Yes, that puts Harry Potter on a whole new level. Can you just
good.
imagine, like, the Basilisk talking with the Cerberus VGS?
That'd be great. That'd be brilliant. I'd love that.
As the teams are pushing B now, taking a deep breath after that prolonged engagement. I don't know who come up out on top. Let's check the graphs, and No Ducks Given are actually 4,000 gold down.
Indeed. It started off on that Gold Fury. They got even off the fight before Gold Fury. Gold Fury pushed them a little bit ahead. Took a bit of an awkward fight, but despite the global rotation potential from No Ducks Given, and despite the fact that they set up around the Pyromancer, they just seem to commit too much onto Achilles, who is once again going for this invade. Will not make it with it, and will actually be forced to ult away.
I don't think they're planning on fighting anytime soon, so by the time they fight with the blue buff, I'm pretty sure Achilles will be fine. He's got 2 cooldown items as it is. He probably like to finish off a cloak, so...
Plus also as well, Achilles' ultimate, not the easiest of confirmable abilities. Yes, it is an execute. Yes, that does do scary things, but it is body blockable, and he does usually tend to use that more as an escape more than anything else. Plus, even if he does get the ult off, 10% increased damage taken from all sources, chances are he's not making it out of that again.
I think of it like an Athena dash, except it hurts you.
Hurts you a lot.
Ani, forced out from the beads in the mid lane, Sikkim does about half of his health.
I want to see Spugg turn up. Another great name, by the way. Spugg, just look now at Agni. Achilles looking for it. Doesn't manage to find the stun. Kerberos does have Blink available and the Stygian Torment, and there's 4 people in mid. That could be a disgusting CC chain.
You know what? All I care about is killing this Agni, because we know his beads are down.
We know his beads are down. Nobody else matters. Looking for it. They're just looking for a bit of a poke here over in the jungle in this small corridor. I like the idea here. If it was a bait to pull more members from No Ducks Given into that very small corridor, Fear No Evil, Stygian Torment does huge work there.
Man, Team 3 is just kind of staring at him in the mid lane right now. Gold Fury is up, and Artemis is going over there, probably looking to solo it while the team zones.
Deathbringer.
Because they just really cannot... Oh, wow.
It's a full Deathbringer. Full Deathbringer. Athena is here. Didn't get the reach in time, unfortunately, but Achilles now eating a bit of the brunt of the damage. 2-man taunt. Follow-up isn't quite there. Tusky, no! Tusky jukes around the corner, but Toothless pile drives through more damage anyway. Sprint has been used as well, and they'll settle on this red buff. Daji and Bologna looking to try and follow up where they can, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Jingwei uses the passive, gets back in, and Defender Olympus comes out, but 4 people get turned around by Spugg. Stygian Torment picks up 2. The monster doesn't find any real damage, but people are pushed very low. Eagles Rally forced away over the side, and now Team 3 are barreling down this tier 2.
Looking for picks right now, but they're not killing any towers. They're just killing people.
Well, it's a start. It can lead to it. Jingwei pushed very low, and the Crush will find it. Unfortunately, not able to look too far to get this tier 2 tower, as minions are in favor of No Ducks Given here, but they will brute force this one down, it seems.
And
don't die here.
Absolutely.
Calculated.
4 for 0. Right there. And that comes off the back of those Agni beads that were forced in the mid lane by a great solo play by Mystic Megatron. Because if Agni's allowed to free cast that fight, he does a ton, an absolute ton of damage. And now Team 3 is sitting with 2,000 to 3,000 gold in their pockets, and they barely even got it. They just killed a Gold Fury to tier 2.
Fantastic play coming out there. Sure, the Tusky doesn't end up doing anything, but that's Tusky's fault. That's not Toothless's fault. Yeah. That's just a poorly trained. That's a poorly trained board there. That's not his fault. But yeah, you mentioned that it was just all off the Agni as well. I am really impressed by how Spugg held that ult there. He didn't do it immediately. He watched. He saw Defender of Olympus come down. He came in, and it was one of those situations. Oh, Athena's turning up. Well, let's just kill her as well. In that situation, No Ducks Given do look like they're going to be able to sneak themselves away the Pyromancer. All of Team 3 did back to spend up that 3k gold.
Artemis is alone.
She's
Artemis is alone, and No Ducks Given says... Okay.
I think they give a duck at this point. They give a duck, especially about this Artemis.
Oh my gosh. I just noticed something. I haven't been looking at actives this game, but I would like you to look at actives and tell me what is strange.
Okay, well, the first one that comes to mind for me is the Bologna, who does
I'm
have
looking at
Frenzy,
mid lane as Agni hits a great 3-man bomb as Powlow's going to pull the Artemis under tower. No beads for you, because you think this is the Sikkim deletes Daji.
Daji pushed very low, can't tricks the spirit away. Agni forced very low, and a good Fear No Evil keeps Athena out from being able to peel for him. Backside, Agni jukes himself away, putting them juke boots to work. They're pretty fancy boots to be said the less, but Contrast doesn't get it. Comes down, puts out good work. The reset doesn't quite manage to find a home, but it puts just everyone off this tier 1 tower in mid lane, and a fight goes pretty well for Team 3. I say pretty well. It went fantastically.
That you almost drew that up on a silver platter, and I'm Toothless. I've got to draw attention. Toothless decided not to go beads, and we were talking at the beginning of this game about how much CC there is. He didn't recognize he's gone for the heavens instead.
Looking to just try and gas pull it down. Feels like this is a binary system. I'm either dead or alive, so I'm just going to do as much damage as I can. Bologna is around, looking to try and steal anything, but doesn't have the ultimate. Members of Team 3 are getting very low, tanking up this Fire Giant. Actually, Spugg goes down. He walks back in over the fire wheel and ends up falling for it. But I do believe that Toothless does come away with the Fire Giant here. So Humbat's not having it, but your ADC having it. I think that may be okay. Barely away, isn't gonna be able to do much. Achilles does close the distance, and Kerberos will pick this one up. And now 3 members here. This should be a left side tower, but first
This is a
Jingwei
Jingwei.
goes!
Those Deathbringer crits, man. This Artemis pick is putting out work, even without the beads. And now imagine how scary this Artemis would be if she had 2 CC immunities instead of just 1.
That would be disgusting. I have a feeling that what we may see here is we may see Rage come out as a second crit item. Potentially we could see Poison Star. Both work fairly well. Then we see Ickful sold for either, if they're really feeling it, they don't get a Magai's cloak here, or a Mage's cloak, or whatever it's now known as. But you don't see that come out, and instead you just see you see the other crit item come out. So you see Rage, Poison Star, Deathbringer, which with Artemis passive is 100% crit chance. That means every basic.
Well, it's off caps. I'm pretty sure. It's soft caps like 85%.
Is this soft cap?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I mean, as far as I can tell, it's 100% crit chance. But when you hit that hard, bearing in mind that crit does double damage, and you have an Artemis who has like a naturally occurring like up to 2.5 attack speed, you're essentially getting hit 5 times in the span of 2.5 shots. So
3 members in mid lane right now for No Ducks Given. This could be a collapse coming in. There's 5 members of Team 3 looking at a Bologna right now. Agni Bomb's gonna stun out too.
Oh, but it forces Artemis immediately to go for the boar. She thought there was going to be more follow-up. Fear No Evil is big as Stygian Torment comes through as well. Jingwei into the backside, can't do much. Saltastic goes down. Bologna takes a load more damage as on the backside. Spugg picks up Sand Crash. Team 3 are just systematically picking apart No Ducks Given here. Tier 2 tower goes down, and I was expecting a closely followed Phoenix as well.
And Scylla still has I'm a Monster, so if you're really thinking about contesting this, you might want to think again, because she can pretty much do whatever she wants to you.
Do they end it?
We've still got I'm a Monster. I think the tape's going to play out. Yeah, I think they can.
Looks like it. There, everyone's focusing on the Artemis, but look at the Titan! No Ducks Given! You gave No Ducks Given about your Titan! And immediately they're like, alright, Artemis is the problem. Great. Scylla does a load of damage and still had I'm a Monster. That Titan was evaporated.
And you know what? I'm gonna pull this whole game back, because I think Team 3 capitalized very, very well on a mistake from No Ducks Given around the mid lane. Do you remember me saying that Agni had about 2,000 gold? We were talking about how great that Soul Reaver was gonna be, and we were talking about how great that Executioner was gonna be,
and how they didn't get those items at all.
And they didn't back. And Scylla backed before they did. Got the what's it called? Soul Gem.
Soul Gem, yeah.
The bursty one that everybody hates. Showed up first and did more things.
Yeah, doing more things is certainly what it feels like. But don't forget, you guys are voting here for what MVP is going to be. If you want my personal opinion, as much as scorelines are looking at, Scylla, I think probably does get it on the basis that they held themselves well enough in a losing matchup without being a huge detriment to it. It wasn't a case of, oh, because I'm falling behind, everyone else is suddenly feeling like we're in a bad way. They held their own in a losing matchup there.
Now, Scylla definitely did a great job, Mystic piloting that one quite well, but man, I got to think about all those Hoonbots ultimates. How many times did we see 3 or 4, even 5-man Hoonbots ultimates in that game that just shredded team fights?
Indeed, they did. Well, do make sure to vote. We'll let you know what that does very shortly before we start the second game. In the meantime, we're going to head to a short little break here. Be right back. We'll be back with Game 2. Don't go anywhere. the funny remarks. That's what we'll go with.
I'm hilarious.
Not opposed to giving Salt back his Agni. His Agni was
No.
fine for the most part. There are a few little bits which he can straighten out, but in order to straighten them out, he's going to have to play more. So
Right.
I'm fine with this. And giving back Yoda Athena, I mean, it's Athena.
And Athena's just a good character. And
Yeah.
X-Ball's really good right now. Sobek is arguably the best solo laner in the game. And Ratatosker is one of those junglers that likes to control the pace of things. So I'm expecting to see Saltastica and the Cake Baker really try to take control of this in the mid-jungle.
That's what they're going to look to try and do. Whether or not they will be able to is another matter. Duo lane. Always fun to start with the duo lane, and this is one of the things that is the reason why Xbalanque has become so popular. With Hunter's Blessing, he can cast his bowlers at level 1 infinitely.
Infinite. And it's great. It feels so good. You know, you just
so
get free, you just get free damage, you know, make my autos do more.
It's absolutely dumb. Remember Golden Bow and why that was taken out of the game?
No, please. I do remember Golden Bow. I could play ADC when Golden Bow was a thing. That should tell you something about it.
Well, mid lane, same tale as before. Agni, with that Path of Flames and Flame Wave, just exudes high pressure clear as it currently stands. Fortunately, Nodak's Given don't end up going for the right side Harpies. They will actually just split the left side, which is a fair trade, but Humbat soloed those.
Yes.
It's a big difference.
It will play out in the XP. Hunbots will hit 5 a little sooner, which feels pretty good for Hunbots, not going to lie. So Dash didn't come out on the Ratatosker, but the nuts just off the mark. Not going to sit the stun. Neither team has killed their red buff, and we're getting close to 2 minutes again. I am tilted.
Well, they want to end up finishing off the wave first, and as you can see, this is pretty good for Nodak's Given. Looking for it. Aggressive dash comes through from Salt. Not going to find anything. Scylla gets stunned out, but there's no follow-up available. Crush will throw it, and now Nodak's Given have spent so much time trying to poke them out that there's a wave here for them to clear.
Right, and the red buff still isn't clear, and they took any pressure that they had, and they chose not to invade the other red buff. So
go
for it.
Does manage to get the invade off.
Good
I
invade.
like the fact that he came back for the invade, but he could have gone there himself to begin with and taken that level 3 versus level 2 fight. Now, though, Kate Baker was looking at what buffs had been taken by the duo lane. They do find out that the purple buff is gone, so we'll just drop back and go for the second red buff. And do you want to give this one to Sand Crash here, or is it just too good to give Saltastica the refresh on the timer?
I care less about the timer and more about the distance that Xbalanque has to travel to pick it up. Because if Xbalanque travels all the way to the red buff, all the way back to lane, he's losing 2 or 3 creeps to tower, and your Agni really wants the red to contest mid camps.
Very true. And as well, it's the Agni into Scylla. We saw that Agni can get pressure in that throughout the last game. And for him, he's just got to find more ways of punishing that. And if more damage means poking out Mystic Megatron, then that's all good for him.
Talking about pressure, somehow Sobek has out-pressured this Achilles in this lane. Massive HP lead for Invisible Red Ink, which is honestly pretty impressive, and I'm really not sure how he did it.
Especially given the fact that in terms of pot consumption, we see multi-pots and health pots, which is a fantastic start for a Guardian coming out, but we do see the Chalice of Mana. Contrast has gone through all of those in this time.
I think he's looking for the gank. He doesn't have Blink, but he could dash here. He's looking for the stun. He got him with the nuts. First blood to Cake Baker.
That's how you bust the nut.
Oh, you went there.
All up in Contrast's face. Just dash in, bust the nut. And that's exactly what he did, and that is what he wants to do.
Meanwhile, duo lane though, Sprint's gonna come out. Ganesh is getting rather low. Sprint countering that. The Athena's gonna dash in. Look for the taunt. Must have been on cooldown. You can see both Guardians this game have chosen to forego boots again, I would imagine, and rush straight into Thebes. So the rotation ability gonna be
lacking.
needed. Yes.
Well, Cake Baker looking to try and make the rotation as well.
Look at
The
this.
dash comes through, forces Rom to jump away. Ratatoska ult square onto the Ganesh though. Awkward situation. Humbats though has made the rotation. Taunt is good from Athena. Darkness is nice to buy a little bit more time. And Cake Baker turns back around onto Chiron, picks up that kill. Very nice work from No Dice Given just to return. But
Humbats has hit 5 and he has Blink.
He has Blink, but I don't think
he could look for it.
I don't think Toothless has any real follow-up for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. At this level, Rom doesn't have too much damage. Agni almost solos out Mystic Megatron in the mid lane. Mystic really not respecting this power spike from the boots from the Agni. That's super scary.
Especially the pen boots as well. Sure, both boots now have 55 power, but 10 penetration early when you have like 28 magical protections on everyone. Yeah. You essentially cut their protections in half or a third. That is devastating potential. Yes. And with Agni with his bombs and the continuous tick damage and continuous poke, you can really make a use out of that. This is exactly what he's going to do again.
Zilla too. And he's tanking, but he doesn't really care. He's got that tiny trinket for the extra sustain, and he probably wants to back for tier 2 of that reasonably soon anyway. So the poke trade definitively in favor of the Agni.
Yeah, I'm a solo laner at heart, so I'm looking at this being like, nah, just freeze the wave, stand in front of it and look menacing. But unfortunately, you end up in this situation where Mystic Megatron says, I'm having none of that, and just blows him up. At least now, well, now he gets to go back to base at least, but blink forward onto the Ratatoska. It's still a 2-level difference, but that doesn't seem to matter. Not quite enough damage. I take it back. That level difference makes all the difference.
Ratatosker still hasn't backed just yet, so he didn't have that power spike. This is rather important for Team 3, because it allows them to get pressure so they can confirm their own red buff. The Agni's dead, so they can't invade that. That's a very important force to base there from Hinbot.
It's very well done. And yeah, you mentioned that the Ratatoska hadn't backed yet. Thanks to the fact of his passive giving him that acorn, he can actually still buy that from anywhere on the map. It does make him stand still for a little bit of time, but he can get that, and it's 20% movement speed, so he can definitely start chasing these people down, which is a little bit awkward for things. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of a stasis issue right now, so we're going to cut to a quick break while we get that sorted out. So we'll be right back when we get that sorted. Do apologize for the technical difficulties.
I'm at 708.
Okay.
I think we...
Okay, well, with stasis mode sorted and things, we are back here. 7.5, well, just under 7.5 minutes in of play. No Dice Given, sitting up 2-1, but doesn't feel like they have too much of a lead. In fact, actually, we're going to see them try and pressure that hard. Scylla in the mid lane, pushed down to under 300 health, and this feels like Saltastica should be being punished for this, but because of the fact that Spugg is behind, he's just not able to really have that impact we saw him have last game.
Well, he just did get some impact because he just solo invaded the red buff. While the
Nice.
Ratatosker was trying to pick the Scylla, he was around the back killing creeps, which is probably the best thing you can do.
Well, awkward situation is a 2-level difference between the Cake Baker and Spugg. Spugg
Yes.
is doing what he can just to try and farm, and this is all just from the rotational power that the Cake Baker has, not just from the ultimate, but also as well the movement speed that he has. He's doing a lot of work for Agni. Again, pushing hard onto this tower line. I still have to tip my hat to Mystic Megatron for surviving this, but I think it's less about him surviving it and Saltastic not being able to pressure it just enough.
I want to know how much farm Mystic Megatron is missing because of this pressure, because that's what's important. It's not about the Agni has more player damage, and I'm sure he has crazy player damage right now. It's about how much farm do you deny the Scylla player.
Yeah, if we take a quick peek at that, it's he's sat up fairly high on this charts, highest on his team, but like you said, it's not just a case of the fact that, you know, oh, I didn't get a kill, it's a shame. It's as you mentioned, you're forcing them to go back to base. It is a technical kill because they're not farming in that situation.
And Mystic is about 200 gold behind the net worth charts from the Agni, so that's pretty significant, but there needs to be some buff invades and some pressure on gold based on that, or you're just throwing empty damage.
Indeed. It feels very much almost like this mid lane has become a solo lane. I just want to pressure you out as hard as I can, but there's no follow-up for it. There's no potential for an Agni to say, oh, I'm just going to proxy the next wave. He's too squishy to do that.
Agni 1v3 right now. Oh, fear no evil! Off the mark as the Ratatosker ultimate's coming in. The World Tree smacks down onto Hunbots, deleting him.
Very good work there. Ganesh pushed very low, trying to hide in the Dynamic Pillars, isn't able to do so. Cake Baker will pick that one up, and Mystic Megatron wasn't able to make an impact in there. They juked out Cake Baker's ult, but wasn't able to then be in position to follow up any damage. Rom is in this snipe, in the air, one shot, but he hasn't got the damage for it. He's just too early. Looks like No Luck's Given will get the Gold Fury here. Just shy of 10 minutes.
That is an early Gold Fury, but the charts don't lie. That's a 2,400 gold lead now for No Ducks Given, and looks like they would like to push B, buy some more stuff, and kill some more things with that stuff.
Sounds like a good plan. They just need to be careful that they don't all back quite at the same time. If they do that, Team 3 do have the potential to try and punish with a Pyromancer, with maybe some invades, but it doesn't look like they were in a position themselves to quite go for it. Solo lane, it's been very quiet actually out from both of these two so far. We haven't seen anyone go for any of these invades like we saw in the last game.
There's no fireworks. Sobek had the pressure early somehow and decided to go for breastplate first item instead of boots, so he couldn't use any pressure at all to invade anything. The Achilles was behind, so he didn't take his pressure anywhere because he didn't have it. And no invades were had, even with the kill over in the solo lane. So yeah, like you said, pretty quiet. And I'm excited to see what Invisible Red Ink can do once he starts rotating these fights.
Well, Ganesh caught out a bit in the jungle. Hunbots is here, gets a two-man Fear No Evil, forces Ratatosker's beat, but it doesn't even matter. He's going up into the Acorn now. Darkest Nights comes through, looking to try and find more damage. Agni pressures out the Scylla, keeping her out of this engagement, but the split focus has come out. No one falls from Team 3.
Sounds like we've got another stasis issue, and we may have to take a quick pause here to get that sorted out.
Apologies about the stasis mode once again, but joining back in the middle of the team fight, Rom up in the sky, can't find anyone, but Contrast will manage to find out the Cake Baker hiding around in his own jungle. And I mentioned before that it felt like No Ducks Given just completely lost any kind of semblance of target focus here.
I'm really not sure what happened there. No Ducks Given seemed like they would have a
engagement there.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like, but something went wrong, and I think that something's name is Spugg, because once again the Hunbot's ult is splitting up plans.
Well, it split everyone up. The problem I have is that we see Mystic Megatron gets caught off around the top side of the left-hand mid camps. He gets cut off by Saltastic, gets pushed to half HP. We then see, though, that the Cake Baker ends up ulting over that direction, rather than it just being, hey, they're poked out, don't worry about them, they're not coming into the fight. They were looking for a fight there. Meanwhile, we see Sandcrash and Yoda pushing to try and kill the two people who are both really low. They both get out, everyone gets out, and it's ended up with the Cake Baker who ends up falling in that.
And other than the Cake Baker falling, it's a complete wash, because gold wasn't up, as Ratatusker's actually kind of an awkward spot. There's a silence coming out, Defender of Olympus channeled through, looks like... I
felt like that was a panic call there, I feel. That was, I see someone's getting... I see there are 3 people around them, I should be over there to help them. I feel like that probably should have been communicated a little bit better from the Cake Baker. If, like, they do start getting into trouble, then maybe go for it. But I suppose... If the issue is if you Athena ult later, then
you might be dead.
Yeah, and then you waste it.
Spugg, you're on the left-hand side, hovering around, but good eyes there from Yoda spotting out the Hunbots. Rom's gonna roll in on the Xbalanque, putting out some damage. The Athena taunt onto the Rom. Rats in the air though.
Comes down, but Fear No Evil comes through back as an immediate engagement. Darkest Knights will come through, and Cake Baker ends up picking up Toothless. Sprint is forced, but now Agni has made the rotation. Pushed out, but silenced. But it's all onto the Humbats right now. Overhand smash won't keep him alive as the meteors come down. Spugg does manage to pick up one from what I can only assume were minions in that engagement. Yep. And Scylla didn't make any rotation, didn't push in mid. What are you doing, Mystic?
It was a little awkward there. By the time Mystic realized there was a fight going on, I would assume, he was pushing another midwave, and it was a super awkward rotational time. There's tons of wards out along that path, though, for No Ducks Given, but no wards for Team 3. So late rotation, non-existent rotation.
I'm so surprised, though. That whole thing starts off from Toothless rolling in to try and hit onto Sandcrash.
With no beams.
Spugg was there and got spotted by Yoda, so he should have been communicating, guys, Athena is here. Do have another stasis, but we'll use this one now to just quickly break down a little bit of that fight while I have the opportunity. You gotta communicate that. Spugg needs to be saying Athena is here, because if not, they go in and they bait out the team and it costs them that fight.
Well, and I mean, Spugg knew that Athena was there. He saw her. The idea was, though, he had to get the blink ult going on.
It was a great blink ult by the Humbats. He turned around off that engagement incredibly fast. He was going to go off and start farming, but as soon as that thing comes out, just immediately turns around, blinks in, and he saves out Toothless for a heck of a lot longer than he should have done in there. Chiron, unfortunately, then, as he starts turning towards Saltastic to try and silence him out, everyone's looking at Cake Baker, and no one is pushing him out in that damage there. Well, stasis has been fixed. Thankfully, this time we were able to talk through that one, just because there was so much to break down there. I really wanted to break that one down, just to show that communication will win and lose you these games.
Rotation non-existent from Mystic Megatron really has to be more committed, more decisive.
Communicated that you're not going to rotate. Again, if you're not going to rotate, sometimes you do just have to say, guys, look, fair enough, I screwed the pooch on this one. Me rotating now is a waste. Actually, we see a bit of a fight going on. Athena taunts back into Ganesh. No stun follow-up, but they are just trying to turn on Burn. Ult comes out from Ganesh just to try him a little bit of safety. Ratatoska gets blown up, has to force out the defensive ult there. Darkest of Night again, looking for Peel, but Humbert stands still in the flame wave. No, you can't do that!
He got rooted as the Rama snipes coming through there. Scylla on the side, blowing up Sand Crash.
Beautiful work there. Ganesh now silencing out Athena. Will be able to dash away. Go Gold Fury. Gold Fury. Gold Fury right here. You know that Kate Baker's not coming around. You know Yoda's not there. And you know that Contrast can keep eyes on the invisible Red Ink. But instead, they're just going to back up from it. Doesn't look like Chiron's going to pull it, but he's too low to do that right now.
You're Ganesh, buddy. You can't solo the Gold Fury, and Invisible Red Ink has out-rotated his counterpart by a large margin to keep them off of gold. I like the Sobek rotation. He shoves a mid-wave. Really, optimistic pluck, I think.
Optimistic pluck, but does manage to channel in Yada Yada's ult here. Beautiful. Sikkim comes through, roots both of them, and now Rom's looking for follow-up. Hombats has made the rotation, and Sobek, well, great, you got a pluck there. Unfortunate situation. That's your dash, buddy. That's 3 members of Team 3, buddy. That's not where you want to be, buddy.
He's got to ult now. He's got to ult yesterday. Otherwise, there's no way he's gonna. He's looking for the kills, but he's not gonna find it.
Almost kills Ganesh there, but again, very awkward situation coming out. People are just not committing and committing at really awkward points on these fights. If I'm listening in on these calls, I've got to be screaming to you guys, communicate stuff, communicate things.
All right, and I mean, just the rotations. This game is all about rotations. MOBAs are about rotations, and one team is rotating really, really well, and the other team has forgotten that you can hold anything but W. Yeah,
I mean, Contrast, to be fair, he does at least commit to staying there. He commits to this idea of saying, instead, I'm just going to push this tower down. So he gets the tower, and he does feel like he mitigates some of the difference. Invisible does go a bit too ham.
Very much
in that engagement. Does end up... I like the idea. Like, the gears are there. I'm up here. Athena's got ult. We can do that. But you are the only two up there. There is no follow-up for this. There is no damage following up any of the CC.
If you are with anybody as a tank, you better make sure at least one of the people you're with is a carry.
Yeah, or someone who can do damage.
You cannot go tank on tank action and try to kill somebody unless you're Davis Cherio. The last I checked,
but look at the way Cherio builds in that though. Cherio is building for the jungle, and he's building a load of flat men. Yeah. Yeah, that's the mentality you have to go for. You've got to know the role position here. Contrast is supposed to be a secondary frontliner who puts out a lot of annoying CC and sits around absorbing a lot of damage. That's what he needs to be, and that's what Invisible Red Ink can be when they're in these engagements, but they're not rotating as it stands right now. Blink from Pumbats in mid, though, is good. The Agni follow-up is better.
Rotatoskers up in the air. Twig of the World Tree comes crashing down with the Defender of Olympus in the mid lane as Rom has made the rotation.
Does manage to get up into the sky in time, though. Juking around as best they can. Ganesh ends up picking up Athena, but it's the Agni damage that comes through. Yada Yada picks up Toothless, though. Pushed him very low. And now it's just a case of no that's given whilst low. They could look to try and bait this a little more, but Contrast is following this up here. And where are you looking to try and see no that's given push this right now?
That's a tricky question because they did get a pick. But the problem is, the pick's the Hunter, and the Hunter is the one without the great wave clear. The Scylla can still wave clear, so you're kind of scared about pushing mid. I would like to see a baited Gold Fury fight, because if you bait the gold, then hopefully your team can get one more pick, and then maybe take that pick and push something.
Yeah, it's not only that as well, but they can then potentially take a fight and win that one more. And again, it's this idea of the ants march in one by one. It's a 3-on-4. Suddenly you win that fight. It's a 2-on-4. You can still win that fight. So they can keep doing that. And if Team 3 aren't careful, they'll end up finding themselves in a bit of an awkward position. As Red Ink again, looking in good for... Yeah, a bit of an awkward
on the side though. Hunbots is 1 HP. Cake Baker with the dash. Bakes Spugg. A new one right there. He's completely deleted from the map, and now I want to see...
Now Gold Fury. Now go for the Gold Fury. Spugg or Spugg is gone. Spugg was the guy who you were worried about, and that was the pick that they were looking for, and very good target selection coming out from the Athena. Yeah. I loved what Invisible Redding did. He baited himself out like, oh no, I've plucked you guys. Oh no, I'm on my own. But that meant that Spugg didn't have any assistance at all, or any follow-up potential.
Well, this is decidedly awkward, because 2 people pushed B on No Ducks Given, and they were the 2 carries. The 3 other tanks decided to stick around. You want to fight? Do something.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was the golden hand-wise that they had. Do see that there is a sentry, or they're looking to try and de-ward on this. Sobek eats a lot of damage here. Doesn't have any real sustain. Doesn't have a meditation, but that's more for the burst heal for the team fight to try and medbait the situation, more so than just I ate a load of poke, let me heal it up.
Well, and, you know, the med here, I'm looking at the execute and thinking, hey, executes are really cool.
Let's you know what shuts them down? Medbaits.
Extra health. Instant extra health, in fact. And that is what meditation does. It's one of those actives that I usually don't like, but a lot of times it works really well in the right situation.
Plus also as well, we could see potentially, if they really wanted to go that way, Sobek could, if he really wanted to, buy a Rod of Asclepius, which would help increase that healing. But the idea is still there. It's the, I don't want Achilles killing my carries, or anyone, actually, for that matter.
You're saying Sobek Asclepius, and I'm thinking, hey, that's a good idea.
I mean, it helps out on the backside, because Sand Crash with the Devourer's Gauntlets will get benefit from that. Saltastic will get benefit from that as well. Sobek gets benefit from that as well. Ratatoska gets benefit. Yeah. Everyone gets benefit. All right, Athena doesn't, but that's a
support. Who cares? You're not buying that for Athena. You're buying that so your X-Ball gets to lifesteal more.
Indeed. Well, Achilles, awkward situation, but the damage he's actually taking isn't too bad. Yeah. He's healing this up fairly effectively. Does have that Stone of Gaia, which is probably what that's more akin to. Also, just that Genji's Garb. 70 magical protections.
It's a lot. And
we mentioned how early game, when you have 20 protections, you know, oh, penetration boots are great. But when that's the only penetration you have, not quite the same.
Right.
Mid, they're looking for it. They're really looking for a fight.
I think Team 3 wants to get a mid tower right now, because that's where they're posturing. Rom is split pushing in the left lane as well during this.
I like this. Catches the Agni on the very edge of the Dharmic Pillars. Puts him to about half HP. But it's not going to be any real follow-up. Wombats is here. Does have the ultimate. Agni dashes far away. But Darkest of Nights will buy him cover. Awkward situation, though, as we end up in a stasis mode during the middle of a team fight. So for this one, we are going to cut to a quick break while we get that one sorted. Again, apologies for stasis mode. Blame High-Res Adonis. It's always his fault.
Should we start at the beginning of the fight?
Okay.
Getting there. Doop, 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 doop. Yeah.
Let's just dragging the game out 3 times as long as it has to be.
Yep.
Good work on the 3-2-1s, by the way. I know it doesn't sound like much, but genuinely, they've been really, really good. Yep.
Yes.
I'm there.
Right after Ganesh basically solos Agni and then nobody kills Agni for the rest of the team fight. Yeah, that's where we're at. I'm ready.
Okay, then deja vu just a little bit there. We've seen a little bit of this before, but Agni aggressively dashing, looking to try and push onto Ganesh. Darkest of Night does come through as well just to try and stun anyone out. Doesn't. Ganesh now doing a good work on the silence around the backside. Ratatoska gets Fear No Evil away, dispersing everyone. Looking now for a little bit more follow-up. Goes up into Yggdrasil. Where's he going to land?
I'm looking at Ganesh right now, and that's where he's looking. He's gunning for the dash to cut him off as the Acorn Blast helps to finish him off. Achilles takes negative damage from the Ratatosker. It's a pick, but what does it need?
Not too much, but they did get Humbats. Humbats really looking in an awkward situation. Astral shots do come out from Rom. Puts down Sand Crash. Agni now pushed very low again, sitting on about 100 health. Dash Taunt isn't good enough. Follow-up from Achilles. Can he find it? Doesn't manage to get him with the ultimate, but a basic attack follow-up will be good enough. Scylla now does still have I'm a Monster here, so this could be the fight where we see some big damage come out from her.
Plucked away is the Achilles, away from his backline is good. Sentinel in does the Scylla, but no damage as both carries, in fact, are dead on the side of no ducks given. Achilles going to take a tower shot, but I don't think he cares.
Where's the Gold Fury at this point? Awkward situation. We're not seeing Team 3 group up, and they're beating no ducks given. Like they're not. Yeah, they're beating them in some of these fights, but they're not utilizing the fact that they're winning effectively here.
What is F.Dot's favorite saying? The stuff after the stuff?
This isn't the stuff after the stuff. This is the stuff during the stuff.
There's just a lot of stuff, but there's no stuff
Get
after
some of it.
There's tons of fighting, and nothing is happening. And Dharmic Pillar is actually going to come out to help burn down the Gold Fury. I know that ability does a little bit of damage. Oh no, Sobek plucking him.
Not going to be able to get away here, but are they going to steal it? No, Team 3 do manage to secure this one, but 3 members get stunned out by Darkest of Nights. Toothless gets defanged once more, ends up going back to base. This time, Athena putting out work. Now the following is for this I'm a Monster Scylla. Goes up, finds the damage, but Fear No Evil is better. Scylla though, turn around, sweetie. There was potential for you to put huge amounts of damage out. Instead, just runs it back further. Humbat pushed very low as well, and now it's just the front line again for Team 3, trying to stave off the aggression from No Ducks given.
And poor Shablanka is sitting here like, hey, I'm level 16. I want to farm. Is the Sprint's going to come out trying to close the distance on this Ratatosker? Is Contrast. Athena trying to body block, but oh, there's the taunt. So that's what we needed.
Good taunt. Mid tower does end up falling because of Winions for No Ducks given, so they do come away a little bit better. But Achilles and Ganesh aren't letting anyone from No Ducks given get away. Dash in from Ganesh is punished as Agni turns himself around. Do see a Belt of Frenzy come out, and again the Dharmic Pillars, but the carries aren't there. Rom is back at mid tier 2. Scylla's pushing a wave. Humbats can't do anything with his HP right now. Come on, you did so well, Team 3. Now they're just... Chiron feels like he's playing last game, where it's the end of last game and everyone's grouping up, and it's no one's grouping up here.
Chiron thinks he's literally playing Chiron, because he's playing like a carry right now, except his carries aren't on the same page.
Where's this Agni's positioning? Doesn't matter. Invisible Ink isn't able to use that Defender of Olympus, so that goes on cooldown. Agni now forced away. Great job, Team 3. You know you got at least one and the ult from Athena. Fire. Bait fire. Bait fire. Push mid. Do something. I like the fact that they are grouping up now, though.
I'm okay with the push mid call because the Ganesh doesn't have any mana. Hunbas doesn't have
any HP.
Full health bar. Everybody's got about 1,500 gold. They probably want to push B after they get this 500.
They could do, but instead they will just fall themselves back. They'll come away with a little something. So yeah, they're going to take the death by 1,000 cuts, and we're going to be here for 1,000 cuts. So I mentioned about Fire Giant now. We've reached the 25-minute mark. We've hit that point where it's the enhanced Fire Giant. Are we looking at seeing Team 3 being the ones who start setting up for this Fire Giant here?
This is tricky, right? Because No Ducks Given has the better extended Fire Giant fight.
Yeah.
You've got CC that isn't on an ultimate. But Team 3 has the better burst, right? So it's tricky.
Well, hopefully once really Mystic Megatron does finish off this Obsidian Shard, that's going to be a big point for him. He's got the full Warlock staff, he's got the CDR, just now he's got the penetration to go along with it as well. So potentially we see them set up for it. If they can group up, their Contrast and Chiron are doing good CC work. They are CCing people effectively together between the two of them. But there is nobody doing anything else aside from that. We mentioned, like last game, CC's great, but where's the follow-up? There is burst on these teams. CC's great, but if you're only CCing people, they're just going to sit there and laugh at you. And then your CC's on cooldown for when your teammates are there.
You have to CC the enemies, but as I like to say, you have to CC where your team is too. Otherwise,
yeah,
you're gonna CC your CC go to waste.
Haha! That was a good one. I see what you did there.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Well, we mentioned last game as well the idea of Mage's Cloak, and that's exactly what Spugg is going to be going in. And I liked it on the Humbats, especially when he wants to get into the backline and be disruptive. This just makes sure he can be disruptive.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather see the Magi's Cloaks on No Ducks Given, because a lot of these CCs are ultimates CCs.
Yeah.
Hunmat's ult, which is on a really long cooldown. Rom doesn't really have any. Ganesh sure can get your thing popped, but he's got to run up in your face to do it.
Indeed, he does. I mean, the one person I wouldn't necessarily want to see the Magi's on is going to be the Jabolonkwe, but you can even still make the argument there of saying, well, he's got enough damage because of his passive. He's got damage elsewhere that he can afford to go into it. But sometimes you just want to see some really big damage numbers.
It's tricky, right? Because you have to find the right balance. Because your DPS is 0 when you're dead. That's the old WoW term, right?
That's the
You have to make sure that your DPS isn't 0 because you're dead. And building a Magi's can sometimes fix that.
Big grouping up coming out from No Ducks Given, looking to try and put some damage into the Ratatoska, but again, Team 3 are just a little bit lacking on their rotations and play for this objective. Jabolonkwe very far up, but it's Rom who's getting poked out in this current situation. Missed pluck by Sobek, and he's going to get punished for this.
No carries. You know, there's the Sikkim coming out, but Sobek's only going to take about half his health bar. He should be almost dead right now. Uh-oh, Spugg.
Fire Giant hits 4 people with the knock-up. Ganesh is completely eradicated. Soltastic picks that one up. Rom looking to find damage in the backside. Can't find any of it. Achilles now is 1v4. Ratatoska is here. He is here looking for the Acorn. Can he find any follow-up? Can't find it. Forces a blink from the Humbad, and it's Achilles on the front side who gets knocked up. And the damage is good, but the dash out is better. Team 3, really awkward now in these team fights. They're just not there.
Everything seems disjointed, and honestly, that team fight was difficult from the start because Rom was completely forced out from the very beginning.
Yeah, he ended up running over a ward on his rotation. That's exactly what happened. He took an Agni bomb stun. It ended up there about 75% HP, and it put the fear of gods in him. Literally, of gods in him. But now it looks like No Ducks Given are going to be the ones looking for this Fire Giant. I like this idea here. They know that one's dead, and they know that in terms of ultimates, I'm a Monster is down, and they've got Agni bombs to try and help secure through it. They're going to burn it fast. Humbats is here. He does have ultimate, but no blink to be able to get in. Achilles, though, does go and look for it. Isn't able to find it. No Ducks do manage to secure their Fire Giant. Everyone else from Team 3, I feel like they wanted to give that one up, but then realized they probably shouldn't give that one up. And then again, just they're so lax on these rotations here.
It's decision making, honestly. Decision making is
or indecision making at this point.
Well, right, that's the point. You need to have, as silly as it sounds, decisive decisions.
Yeah,
it sounds dumb when you say it out loud, but it makes a lot of sense. As No Ducks Given lose a Gold Fury there at about 29-17 on the clock, sitting with the graphs, a lead for Team 3.
Barely a lead for Team 3. And it's No Ducks Given turn to try and find how they want to push this. Where are they going to go? And it's got to be this tier 1 in right, then tier 1 in right, tier 1 and tier 2 in right, then the mid towers here. Just break open the base, get that gold lead going, back up, buy up, set up for the second Fire Giant on Phoenixes. And if a fight goes your way really well, then you can just go ahead and take a Phoenix as well.
There's a lot of money on the map, but you do have to be careful. No Ducks Given is currently sitting not really there in their build. They're not full on builds. So they want to be farming.
Yeah, and this is going to be the important point here, is that just sieging up at this point. They don't have the worst siege potential here, but Team 3, if they are actually able to group themselves up and actually play themselves effectively in this fight, we know they have the burst potential. We know that they have a good CC, and it feels like this is going to be the place that forces them to do that, because they're going to have to defend, and they're all going to have to defend there.
It's going to be a tricky siege, definitely, for Team 3. Rom, notoriously one of the better hunters on sieges because his astral arrows go through people, which is pretty good when you're trying to body block. But no, this will be very interesting. I want to see what No Ducks Given do with this fire giant.
Well, they've started off in the same vein as what I was looking at. The mid-tier, the right side tier 1 tower was just begging to be taken, so they've pushed that one up, and now with minions here and the Xbalanque, they'll look for it, but Scylla does clear the entire wave incredibly quickly. Around the backside, Ratatoska is looking, and they're trying to look for a bit of a fight here. Dark Knight comes through, and Ratatoska's looking on the backside. Scylla gets stunned out in that instance, and is forced to in a very awkward situation under 10% HP. Ratatoska not able to find it, but Yada finds it because of the Acorn. Nice work there coming out, and now they should be definitely able to get this tier 2 tower.
Frenzy's popped. Ganesh is alone with the Frenzy, trying to solo 4 people. That's not going to happen for you, Chiron, as the taunt comes out. Lots of damage from Xbalanque as he dashes in. It's all tastic with a double kill.
Nice work. Sandcrash is low, but he's still around. And if this fight goes poorly for Team 3, this might actually just be game here. Spugg is the only one left alive. Xbalanque is fine if they go on him. We saw what happened last game. You go on one of the 2 damage dealers, the other will just destroy the Titan. That is a bit of a tankier Titan here, with the 2 tier 2 towers still remaining, but with members from Team 3 still dead for another 10 seconds at best. This is going to be a very awkward situation.
Down to 4, down to 3, down to 1,500, and that's the game. Titan falls, and not a single member of Team 3 is alive to see it happen.
Awkward situation there from Team 3. From a great game 1, exploding out, holding on to the late game and realizing, hey, we can hold this if we team fight well. They then completely lost that mindset in game 2. And No Ducks Given get 1 fire giant, and then 1 fight where I said everyone on Team 3 is going to have to group up, or they just lose. That's exactly what they did. Nobody grouped up, and they lost.
And awkward rotations in the super early game for the team with no globals, which is perhaps to be expected. But when you're going up against an Athena, it's scary.
Well, in terms of MVPs here, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, Ratatoska, the cake baker, literally hand-delivered Yada his last kill there just from being up on the Acorn, up on the Tree of Yggdrasil. So, for me personally, the cake baker again was really just looking for these setup potentials, and this time it really started to pay through. Last game we saw on the Darji, that early rotation over to the dual lane. This lane we see it, and we see it pay off again. So because of that, for me, it's got to be the cake baker. Or
why do we keep giving this person Agni? That's my question right now, because he is doing nothing but building Bancrofts early, getting pressure in mid, and eventually No Ducks Given will use that mid pressure. Now, whether or not they decide to use it or not is up to them, but you're giving them the tools to beat you before the game even starts.
Yeah, and that was that came off, for me personally, that came off the Ratatoska being 2 levels up to Spugg in the situation. We saw in it was a 1v1, Humbart's blinks ults, but he's level 5, Ratatoska's level 7. He just gets out because innately he is tankier, innately has more health, so he manages to get away from that. So even though Salt had all that pressure, there was no way to abuse him for it. So that's my personal call, but it's not down to me. It's down to you guys in the chat. So be sure to vote on that. We're going to head on for another break as we get you to game 3 of the set. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's no longer a best of three. This is a best of one. No Ducks Given showed that they were pulling their punches game one, tighten up the screws, and come back with the win. This time, it's going to be on to Team 3 to adapt and get back to form from game one.
And you know what? I'm already seeing something I like better on Team 3.
That being?
Well, I'm a support player, if you didn't know, and Geb seems to not be rushing Gauntlet of Thebes, which makes my
Yeah, I
little
like that.
Geb self very, very happy.
Indeed. It's a little gem of information you've found there to take away from this.
Yes, although he has decided to not build multipots, which then makes me hate him as just as much.
Alright, well, it seems that Spectator Cameraman may have accidentally typed in the wrong game here, so we'll quickly get back with that shortly. Apologies for the technical difficulties. This one we can't blame for high res. This one's on us. Take two, ladies and gentlemen, of the third game between Team 3, which we have decided in the break we're going to now be calling Spugg's squad, just because it feels better to say than Team 3, against No Ducks Given, who bit back, despite being against the Toothless. They showed the importance of having teeth, and bit back.
Indeed.
And Spugg's squad just didn't feel like themselves to the second game. They were slack on rotations, they didn't group up when they needed to, and they lost because of it. So I'm really hoping that they can get back to form from game 1 for this.
But Toothless does have your vote for MVP, and I have to imagine that's because he built beads that game, which made me very happy on the inside, and I'm hoping he will do so again in this game. He did go the Aegis, and I respect that against the Circuit, but woof, I mean,
but no CC immunity at all.
Really good.
There's no really CC immunity. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. Toothless, despite being on the losing team, does come away with MVP. We will point out that despite losing, he wins MVP there. You'll have to explain that one to me later, at a later date. But for now, I'm fine with him saying I can use my ult for CC immunity. Hou doesn't have CC immunity, so I'm a little curious on the reason here. Especially when you have a Geb shield, which can mitigate a lot of the damage that a Circuit ult is going to do anyway.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. As Artio has probably the best level 1 clear in the game for Guardians, next to maybe like a full channeled Kabrakan 3. And this is going to be a really, really, really hard pushing lane, even with a Jigway. That should tell you something.
Right, interesting though that you mentioned that the Artio clear. Artio going for the 3, which is the dash and the long range route. Usually you see Artios go for the 1 just because it's more confirmable burst. Is it? It's more confirmable in a burst situation. Well, I'll take
the 3 does more damage to the whole wave. And
true. But that's the issue I have. That's the issue I have, is that Geb has a knock-up. If he's smart, which he should be learning at this point, to save his knock-up. Meanwhile, mid lane. Do excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. We see mid lane. Saltastic finally gets that pressure and finally gets that kill on Mystic Megatron he's been wanting the entire set. And this time it comes with First Blood with some assistance from the Cake Baker.
Doesn't quite go as expected, but a sprint's coming out right into the teeth of Spugg. He's going to get the knock-up. He's going to get the Feather Step. And
Basic goes to Toothless.
Toothless
kill secure. Kill secure. We'll call that one kill secure there.
Spugg definitely didn't do all of his health bar.
Either way, we've seen a lot of pressure coming out from this team. Spugg squad have really... They're playing like Energy do when they lose. They turn up and just crush everything. Last time Invisible Red Ink had pressure. This time Contrast, in stark contrast, has lane pressure, is sitting right on the tower line of Invisible Red Ink and saying, you do not get to come out of this tower.
He's saying, pluck me, and indeed, no plucks given. See what I did there?
I see what you did there, but I think he's saying something other than pluck. Does rhyme with it, though. You're very close. At this current state. Very low. May actually be forced to back here. He can afford to back. He did go and start with boots, so isn't the worst thing. But now I love seeing what Invisible Red Ink is doing here. Ooh. Goes for the zone and then plucks him back in. He will follow up here. Caught the damage. But Achilles is being pelted by Archer 73 through 9.
What's he doing? Oh no, he's walked back in the lane. If he just...
block off the mark!
Oh man. You know, if he would have hit his Sobek 3 off of his own pluck setup,
that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. That would be. But he does force him to back. Does force him to back there. And this is something which I enjoy as a solo laner. As a solo laner, I am all about those little victories. You just got his teleport at 3 minutes in, where he gets boots 2. You don't give him that leeway of, oh, it's an easy time to back. He just gets full boots. So I like that coming out from Invisible Red Ink. Even though Contrast was able to get pressure, he's punished heavily for it.
Invisible Red Ink does not get the invade either with the kill. And the blue buff is still standing for the Achilles, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's still there.
Oh, blue buff. Oh no, Sobek. Sobek, your blue buff. You have like 15 seconds to get to your blue buff.
Dun, dun. But in duo lane, there's something more interesting happening.
Yes, something more interesting. I'll keep you posted on the taps if he got it. He did get the buff, meanwhile. lot of poke going on
Circuit's
with
here.
Duo. Circuit has made a rotation. Leap from
Blinks
Ho
up.
Yi, though, is around. Does
Uh-oh.
have the blink, like you mentioned.
This is a very dead Toothless.
If
Probably.
he lands
If
it,
Circuit
but
pushes
instead,
blink.
though, just falls back. Could have gone for an invade there. Wouldn't have mind seeing Kate Baker just be like, all right, look, we got pressure. Let's just get the buff instead. They may not
That
necessarily
was-
have the exact timer, but
They should know. You know, you're in dual lane. You can see when they go to their purple buff, and you should be able to know when it's dropping off. And
I mean, they were there the
That's
last
a missed
time they tried for an
opportunity.
invade. They were there the last time they went for an
right.
invade.
It was an invade, and they confirmed it. You should know that cooldown. Your Circuit is there, and that should have been an easy one.
If nothing else, she can go and face check it while she's standing there, because when she's standing there, you know, it also helps her because we saw Toothless and Chiron falling back because they had to wait the wave to clear. Even with the blink, Kate Baker wouldn't be in range to immediately follow up off the blink damage or blink engagement from it. So because of that, just moving into a slightly better position. And coming in with a buff.
Trigger at some point though, and
Yeah.
the Hu Yi jump was down, the Geb shield was down. He would have had to Aegis. He would have to pre-Aegis the Circuit taunt, or he would have died. And Toothless should have died, and they should have lost their purple. But he got it. So
This is better. Spugg squad. Small victories. 4-man grouping. Okay, it's not the greatest thing, but grouping up and
You did
confirming
something.
something.
That's good.
You did something and you grouped up. Good. That is important. You have done the right thing here.
Ooh. Almost on the Moonlight Charge, getting the Poseidon. A root coming out for Discordia.
A little bit of damage
No
follow-up.
full commit, which is fine. He still has beads. You probably want to try to get those out before you do go for the full commit. We could look for, I want to see some Hada Wheelish Blink 3 ults.
That'd
Or
be
at least
pretty
some
sick.
Some ults off the Gebs. You've got some knockup set up. I want to see it you.
Well, they're going to have to group up for that one themselves. And right now, Wheelish still isn't quite at the point. I would imagine that they're going to want to look for that sort of engagement once they can finish off their boots. If I take a quick look at Gold in Hand when I can find it. They do have enough now to go back and grab that. So they will be looking to do so. But there's a little bit of farm that they want to try and get before then. But I just want to talk about the boots and things. The first time this set, Salt has actually decided to not go for the pen shoes. And I think that if they're going to do it on anyone, Poseidon is the right person to go for the pen shoes on, honestly.
You know what? You're probably right, but I can see the argument for the cooldown boots. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
But pen boots are fine. But hey, somebody else went boots. Chiron went boots. And he got cooldown boots. Not pen boots.
Hey, not pen boots is absolutely fine. Getting CDR, I like the CDR. You've got both options here of Travelers or CDR are fine for him, so I'm not fussed either way. And it's still good to just have those shields up more often than not. But you mentioned about the Poseidon. I guess that his idea here is he just wants to be that more utility. He wants to be able to follow up more often off of the Circuit, who is looking around corner. There's a bit of a team fight going on, which we will talk about when we cut out of stasis mode. So give us a couple of seconds and we'll get out of that one.
In the meantime, though, looking at the positioning on this mid fight here, Circuit is in a very good position to get a taunt off. Discordia could easily ult somebody here, maybe ult the Poseidon, try to burst him down. You could try to ult the Circuit. We'll see what happens once we get into.
But I like the fact that both of those two, like Salt wasn't overplaying his hand there. He wasn't being aggressive. He was just, I'm contesting the mid camp.
Ooh, there's the apple coming out and the Kraken smack onto people's faces, but nobody's dead yet. Circuit going in aggressively onto the Willish, jumping over the wall.
Oh, minions! She got out of the creep! Oh, doesn't quite die to the creep there. Could have cleared them, but Circuit did have it warded, so she would have gone for a punish. Finds Discordia. The zigzag is good, but not quite enough damage to push her back. Pushes her just under 200 health, and Kraken was off the mark there from Salt. It was just off the mark. It was too close to him.
Do you know what kept Spugg alive that whole time? Is actually there's a little bit of invade action going. Great ricochet from Toothless. The rotation coming in. Cake Baker's behind him.
But instead, they're just posturing. And this is good for Spugg squad. Not sure about that ultimate. It was a one fight when No Ducks Given lost the entirety of that wave to the tower. Losing Hoyi ult for a potential fight? Nah, that's probably that's you playing yourself there. Beats forced by Salt there. Not even anything coming out from Chiron there to actually try and do anything. Just forced the beads. Didn't respect that, or over-respected the knock-up, and didn't realize that the ult wasn't available for him.
I'm looking at Spugg though. Maybe you're respecting the Illy ult, and that's
true.
That's the scary part, right? If you get knocked up, all of a sudden you are way farther away than you'd like to be. But
would you not just rather immune the Illy ult when the Illy ult comes out? That's my thing. I know it's a little bit devil's advocate there, but I get the pre-beads idea. It's fine. Like, you were gonna beads there anyway. If you get knocked up, you beads there. So it's a slight difference there.
Geb's getting Circuit taunted though. Kraken's coming out. Oh, no whirlpool available to CC him in towards the center of that Kraken. He's gonna walk away.
Damage check could be made there with a red buff. Poseidon can do about 30% of a Geb's health there, which is nice to see. Geb will stick around now just to make sure that these oracles do get claimed, and then he's probably going to want to head back to base just to heal up. Though, of course, trying to just farm up as much as he can will now make his way to the red buff, and then from there should be backing. But I like this idea of him farming without being seen on the map, because it does offer him safety in farming, and still he's not losing anything by being poked out. Great, Poseidon poked him out. If he'd gone back to base, then yes, it would have been a win, but he hasn't.
I'll tell you what, though. Talking about farming, somebody's level 4.
Oh my goodness, you're correct. Yada Yada is level 4. What? I genuinely can't tell you why they are level 4 right now, but that is a huge disparity. Dying, yes, will be an awkward situation to put yourself in, but you still haven't got a full set of
anything.
Yeah, you don't have the full Guardian's Blessing right now, so there's nothing that you can even sit back on. And the longer that goes on, the more situationally the more problematic it will become. Audio now has made a rotation to mid. Will poke a wheelish. Good cripple field stops Feather Step, which is important. Audio cannot Feather Step through a cripple, which leads me to believe that this is why this Poseidon was picked up as well.
That is definitely a theme. There's lots of cripples here. Just over left mids, though. Scordia just going to throw out that taunt field.
It's a scary carpet. That's Strife.
Strife. Yes,
there
Strife.
You go. That's
and
Strife.
It's, what is it? Wild Magic? Unstable Magic?
Unruly magic is the one.
Unruly.
Which does unruly amounts of damage. And Strife certainly calls it if you hit multiple people with it. That's my way of remembering it. You know, the one that I have the biggest issue with is Hercules 2, and the only way I've learned to do it is because of the Luchador skin. Earthbreaker is Earthbreaker, but I always get it confused with Earthshaker, which is Vulcanol. The only way I can remember it is because the Luchador skin calls it Buttbreaker, and that's my way of remembering it.
Talking about ability names, though, and I'm more interested in actual abilities.
And there's been some off the mark.
I'm thinking about numbers of abilities, and I think one team has a stance switcher, and the other team doesn't, which means one team has one less ultimate.
That is true. However, that being said, damage, it's less about the impact of the ultimate, it's what else that Yada is going to be able to do. The heal is huge coming out. The very quick stun coming off as well, both very impactful and going to be very detrimental to Spugg trying to fight into it in that instance. So, whilst, yes, you've lost the ultimate, it's not like you're missing much. I mean, even if you don't level it, RTO will get yourself a little bit of movement speed and MP5 when she uses any of her abilities. She tries to put a little bit of pressure. Does finally ding 5, so that's at least a benefit.
She hit 5 around those mid camps. Just
very true.
So
yeah, all things seem to be good here. As we see a little bit more aggression coming out. Good stun, hits both of them, but Hoyi will get the Geb shield to keep him safe. Audio, again, just putting out a little bit more poke, and the sustain coming off from that Druid form. Starting.
Mid lane though, Blink under tower, and oh, that's a Kraken right on top of the Circuit. Solistica will claim Mystic Megatron.
Very nice work coming in. And this now is starting to get a little bit out of hand. Both kills for No Ducks Given have been on this Poseidon, and they've been set up off of this, off of Cake Baker, which it's a very awkward situation to be in. They've got to start realizing that this is what they're going to be trying to do.
Poseidon, definitely a scary character from ahead, and perhaps a just not scary character from behind, or at least not nearly as scary, because the Kraken is one of those abilities that you really have to be on par with to really spank.
And he's got the setup for it. He's had setup for it. It's worked every time that we've seen it come through. Circuit contesting over these oracles, will manage to steal away both of them. Actually ends up picking up a Wheelish and the ult as well. Wheelish does manage to jump away, so can't quite get there in time to follow it up. Geb rolled into safety as well, and I mentioned earlier about Geb in comparison to Circuit and Sunbreaker used by Hoyi. I'll mention that in a sec, but Circuit ult does 640 true damage. Geb shield is 600 health. I will always love seeing Geb into Circuit for that reason, and the fact that it disrupts the combo.
Right. You Geb shield a Circuit taunt, and the Circuit's pretty sad because she's zigzagging over top of somebody that has walked away. That's just how that ability works. Geb shield, in my opinion, and I am very biased, full disclosure, I have 4,700 worshippers on Geb. I think Geb shield is the best ability in the game.
Awkward situation, though. I do have to agree with you there that it is a fantastic ability. It is very, very, very good as an ability. It's just so much for you. It's a cleanse. It's so much health. It's 600 health. If you have a character who's on just over 1,800 health, you've given them an additional 33% of their health.
That just Geb shield gives you health. It gives you a cleanse. And not to mention, Geb has possibly the most peel-oriented kit in the entire game of Smite. This is the true support. Circuit's going to jump over the wall, going onto Spugg. He's at 1 HP.
No!
Oh, that Circuit passive just wasn't enough.
42 HP Spugg gets out on, and I'm interested to see what Saltastica is going for here. He's got that tier 2 ring. I'm really hoping this isn't going to be... I hope it's Shaman's ring. I have a sneaky suspicion that he might be feeling himself and going for a hastened ring here.
Nah, Shaman's is just the better item. And
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. Shaman's is amazing. Absolutely
hastened ring might be a great meme item. Kraken just... the enemy was on the other side of the lane, buddy. But it's okay. Yeah. Mystic Megatron bites back. Toothless showing him the way with the teeth on this Discordia. He's way behind. Don't get me wrong, but he is now. He's back in the game.
Very awkward situation that he finds himself in. I hope, like you said, I hope that it is the Shaman's ring. But one of the things that I really wanted to see Salt actually go for here, I wanted to see him just say, "All right, look, I'm fragging. Like, let me just frag, and because I'm fragging, I'm going to get Spirit of Magus right now." Spirit of Magus third item, I love. It's great. Yes. I think it's a fantastic thing, and it's exactly where he wants to be.
So, but I'm going to say you're wrong, and
that's fine.
The reason I think you're wrong is because nobody has yet finished magical defense. There's not a heart word. Thebes isn't stacked yet. Action on the left side here, actually a little bit of Circuit action. And Artio's pushing up on the Huyu, just got knocked up.
Good Cataclysm, stuns off the Circuit, puts out a lot of damage, but no potential follow-up as Gravity Bind comes through. There's the ultimate setup. Toothless picks it up thanks to the immediate collapse. Suns came down, and it was all right. Another good knock-up, catches Audio out of the dash, Feather Step, puts him in the ground. This could be a Gold Fury. 2 immediately dead. Cake Baker is way too low to contest. If they find Poseidon, they just turn on him and kill him.
Man, Geb Shield won that fight. No, the Geb Shield cleansed the Circettle. It healed from the Circettle. As Poseidon's gonna walk in, he's gonna get picked here if he's not careful. Willish gets knocked back by the tidal surge. Sobek plucking in makes the rotation faster than the Achilles. This is a big Sobek.
Good leash. Good leash, but it's been kept on by Nodux. Nodux actually still holding it. Serket goes into the backside, forces out Spugg. Gold Fury, Nodux given, walk up and take the Gold Fury straight away from Spugg and his squad. It started off as a good bait. I said, if Salt turns up, then he's going to be able to... If Spugg turns up, you turn on him. But they didn't turn up on him. They just stayed on it. They stayed on the Gold Fury, and they split off their damage here. Discordia should be on the Gold Fury, not zoning off. And if you are zoning that off, everyone has to go on the Poseidon.
And at the end of the day, though, only one team got the Gold Fury.
That's true. And it was Nodux Given who got it. And they earned that Gold Fury there. Invisible Red Ink makes a rotation that isn't matched by contrast and sets up the forced leash of it, and then they keep it. All right. Salt's ult, it was there to steal it if it wasn't leashed, and he was on mark with it, but it got leashed. Fair enough. But Sobek kept it after lurking in the waters.
Yep. Either way, though, just some trading of the blows right now. The teams are effectively evens. Actually, Sobek's going to get run down here if he's not careful. The Achilles ult is available. He gets the dash before the whirlpool starts. There's the cleanse so he can...
No way! Is he
running out with his Sobeki crocodile tail between his legs?
No way. I don't know how he gets out there. I don't know how he got out there. I genuinely don't know how he got out there. He was dead to rights. I think Contrast was like, we've got him. I'm not going to ult for this. I'm not going to ult for this. So because he doesn't ult for it, he doesn't confirm the kill. There was, when Achilles first came out, his ultimate, despite being CC immune, you couldn't use if you were crippled. But now you can use it. So I don't know why you just don't use it there. I really don't know what that happened there.
Some brief technical difficulties. We missed a kill in mid. Saltastica's Kraken claims the life. Kettle coming out onto the Geb. The Geb shield will save his life. Spugg claims life. Contrast actually cleans up Invisible Red Ink in the long term there. But meanwhile, on the left side, there's more action. Hui almost kills Jing on a tower dive.
He jumped in on the 2v1 with the tower dive. Gets off a very nice ricochet. Unfortunately, Jing wasn't tanking the tower, but does force the sprint from the RDO as a complete disengage. Awelish is here on Suku. Will settle for an invaded buff, so they do get something. Force them away. No poke potential to keep them here. Nodux Given will get away. And this should be a tier 1 tower on the left-hand side for Spugg and his squad.
Spugg invades purple, he invades red. This is a very happy jungler. He gets a tier tower. He's going to get another tier 1 tower. The side lanes right now for Spugg's squad, aka Team 3, has been impressive.
Indeed. Do want to see Spug's squad try and use some of that gold now. They're looking to try and pressure a little bit in mid, but they can come back here once they've spent up some of that gold. And if you're on Spug's squad and you see where they're looking at now, are you looking to maybe push down this mid tower? Are you looking at objectives? Where are you looking to try and fight with this comp?
I'm looking at that Pyromancer, and I'm saying I've got enough of a lead, or at least we're even, and I think I can outplay my opposition.
All right, then. So, I mean, you do have to be careful of Soul. You do have to be careful of Soul. Kraken is disgusting if that hits. But,
Kraken is definitely a scary ability, but on the other hand, Golden Apple of Discord does a lot of work in a team fight, and that's kind of where I want to be right now. You can Golden Apple that Serket, all of a sudden, she can't do any damage. You know, that Deathbane really requires movement.
Yeah, and by fighting around the Pyromancer, these corridors, you don't have the luxury of spreading out far enough to not have that spread. So, I like the call there. But I think it's more, these are looking for a fight rather than the objective. If they get the objective for free, then that's fine. See a little bit more of a grouping. Poseidon off the mark with Kraken. You can't do that. CDR and all may be great, but that's still the ultimate ability, and you missed it completely.
Incorrect. He did about 300 damage to Spugg.
All right. Yeah, he hit it, but he was aiming for that knockout. You like when I say you missed it, you missed the knockout.
No. We're
you missed
all
the
with
knockout.
you there.
You missed the knockout.
Doing a bit of knocking up on the front line right now.
Oh,
Discordia is alone in mid lane. 18:05 on the clock. I don't know if Discordia is getting out of this one.
Shouldn't do so. Saket is in ambush as well, so we'll be able to chase that. But unfortunately, they have pushed off of this Pyromancer right now. And for me, that I think is really important. No Ducks Given don't want to fight over Pyromancer. That's exactly why the Cake Bear is looking to try and take that fight.
Cake Baker is going to bake his cake in the mid lane. Aegis coming out.
Cancel that.
Good enough. Mystic Megatron escaping.
Mystic Megatron does manage to get himself out. Poseidon really wishing he had that ultimate right about now. There's a great potential for it. But unfortunately won't be able to. Now the fight spills over back towards mid lane. Meditation comes out and keeps people healthy. Poseidon is still fairly low on the backside. Does have Shaman's Ring stacking.
Just soloing Spugg though. He's what? This poor Cake Baker has almost killed 2 people.
It's good enough, but almost only is good enough in horseshoes and hand grenades. Discordia has returned now if they do want to continue this fight. And now we see the gold in hand is getting spent up. Chiron goes back, gets a full finished sovereignty here, and can come away with some wards to boot if they want to keep setting up around this Pyromancer.
This is the only game I ever want to be involved in where I hear the words Chiron finished a full sovereignty.
You never tried? Seriously? Have you never tried like tank hunters? Seriously, try tank hunters. This is yeah, do it. Like needs support. Needs support. Seriously, needs support. Let me explain it. She has a good solid root potential. She has an attack speed debuff, so she can work well into high auto attack based comp. She has good sustain for herself, so she can make real big use of the protection she has. She has a global ultimate, so she can impact the fight from the rest of the map. And she has a good enough escape and a slow potential on it. She has, do it. In all seriousness, it is fun to do. But yeah, just
Kraken Man pushed up right now. Discordia is going to smack him with the Strife and the Unruly Magic. Sobek's playing up there. Discordia, that's her dash down, but not enough pressure. You see where the carries are, and I'm glad he's oh, never mind.
Ooh. Never mind. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. He blocks him away from the rest of the team. Doesn't want the Wheelish to be anywhere near the rest of this team. And it is all kind of feels like it's not a Wheelish. He again gets plugged. Goes for the Kraken. The play was almost there. But I wanted to see the Whirlpool come out first. Geb Cataclysm buys enough time for Spugg to get out. Beats Aegis. And the Geb Stone Shield will keep him alive. Serket now pushed under 100 HP. Dive bomb forward by Ho Yi. Doesn't able to find it. It blinks away, but now it's all onto the Poseidon, who's forced very low.
Contrast cleans up Saltastica, and pressure in the mid lane here. Geb rolling out onto Sobek, but under the tower. Achilles so close to the Jingwei at about 20:22 on the clock here. Pressure in the mid lane is good for Spugg Squad.
Where did that go wrong?
Arshio did not rotate.
So that went wrong for No Ducks Given because
I'm there.
Where did that go wrong for No Ducks Given? Because they started that off. They plucked in the Wheelish, and I think that for me the big bit is you missed the Poseidon ult again. But that was all for them.
True, we did miss Poseidon ult, but I think the bigger problem was there was a 4v5. Sobek was there, but Arshio was not. A little bit of a lane swap coming out as the Arshio goes over to solo lane for a bit. But, man, you really, really need to have 5 members if the other team has 5 members.
Well, 20:42 on the clock as it currently stands. Ho Yi jumps over, and it looks like Spugg Squad have given themselves enough pressure to go for the Gold Fury. Sure, No Ducks Given know about it, but no one's able to come around here and save this.
They're going to go ahead and pull the Pyros. This is a really good call from No Ducks Given.
Like it.
Jingwei, Arshio are already here. Honestly, they could do fire right now.
They could look for... You know what? Go for it. I like the call for fire here. If no one's going to give the respect to No Ducks Given, they would have to do it fast. But with everyone here, and with Poseidon ult available, they could go for it. They could go for it here. Not anymore, no. But they will get something. They will get something.
The biggest problem for me for No Ducks Given is they are using their CC when their carries are not in position to follow up. And that's why we're seeing these missed Poseidon Krakens.
They're doing what Spugg did last game.
I mean, exactly. 21:37 on the clock here. We're looking at it and we're saying, you know, you Sobek plucked, great. But the problem is, if nobody does any damage based on your Sobek pluck, you just used a cooldown and got nothing for it.
Yeah, it's an awkward situation, but I do feel that they have to keep. Yeah, I like that the Invisible Redding is going for these plucks. It's off cooldown. I'm looking to pluck someone. I'm off cooldown. I'm wanting to pluck someone. If you haven't got beads, you're gonna force your beads, or you're not gonna do anything in that situation. It's just there's no threat behind those plucks.
Right.
That's the issue.
That's the problem, and that's why you see the Olish get plucked at lower left mids. That's why she doesn't beads it, right? Because maybe that's why Toothless didn't go beads in the earlier game, because the CC doesn't mean enough. Once it starts meaning things, though, it becomes extremely scary.
And I think that's always been the threat with CC. When you see someone pre-beads, like a Sobek Blast, or a Sobek dashes, misses it, but they beat it anyway. It was that fear and anticipation of the follow-up off it. Speaking of a follow-up, Circuit, good night, Cake Baker. One immediate knock-up, followed by the ult. And they're just sitting back to base for another 40 seconds.
Okay, I know Geb's tanky, but he literally stood in a Poseidon Whirlpool.
There's no pen coming out for him.
That's true, and Shaman's Ring isn't done stacking yet. I think if Shaman's Ring is stacked, you can full commit Whirlpool cracking that Geb and probably kill him in under a second.
Very true, but nice work from Spugg there. Able to. That wasn't a knock-up set up by Geb. That wasn't any sort of peel. That was all off Suk. That was all off the Moonlight Charge. That was their work there, and that's why it did so much damage with this Transcendence Crusher, just demolishing people in such a short amount of time.
And this is a very high damage build from Spugg, and I like the fact he's looking at the cloak. Next in that build, tons of penetration coming out in the mid lane as a stark contrast for Mystic Megatron, though.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for it. The Divine Ruin, I like the Divine Ruin. Sure,
yes,
the healing isn't, it's not a Terror or Sylvanas level of healing, but it's enough to start ticking up. Sobek going for the pluck, off the mark, unfortunate there. He's getting collapsed on a lot, ends up taking more than half his health. Meditation comes through, but the Geb ult is good to keep him locked in place. Crocodile falls to contrast. Poseidon ult again off the mark in these engagements.
That Poseidon ult hit 2 people, but it did not do enough because he didn't do enough damage, and he really needs that penetration online. The Shaman's Ring alone isn't enough. So Arshio is gonna get blown up as Toothless bites back. He's got a little bit of crit, and Hui's making it happen.
Well, trying to push on this tier 2 tower, but with no minions here, they will have to fall back. This should be a look at Fire Giant here. A lot of wards over for No Ducks Given, and no ward coming out from Spugg's squad, but knowing that they killed off the 2 front lines who would be able to get in, it's kind of on them to lose this one. So they will get it.
It's impossible to, I shouldn't say impossible, but here at about 23:52 on the clock, it's, you know, you cannot face check a Fire Giant without tanks.
No.
You just can't do it. And you look at the ward vision, it looks like Christmas. There's tons of red and very little blue.
Yeah, well, Shaman's Ring has been finished up for Saltastica now. I am expecting this to be a Spear of the Magus, and
yes,
I want to just want to double down on the point what I mean by off the mark. I don't just mean off the mark as in he missed it. I mean off the timing mark. He is not timing these ults to anything with anyone. The last time we saw him do it, sure he missed it, but he was following up off of someone else there.
We're being very critical. We're being very critical of Saltastic right now.
I am, because I know he can do good stuff. We've seen
what he can do with the Agni. But the fact is, in the Agni, you get to just throw out damage willy-nilly. On the Poseidon, you have to be hyper-timed. And he is the only person on his team that is in a position to be even with the damage dealer on the other side. You know,
so he's got to play up. Oh, he's really. If everything comes on, if everything is on him, he has to be the one who's stepping up. I know I'm being hard on the guy, but he's still in that Agni mindset. I can just throw out my ult. It's up in 20 seconds. It's not. It's more impactful than Agni ult.
Well, he has built cooldown, so it's up a little bit sooner than that.
Very
This is
awkward
exactly
situation.
25-minute tower here.
Mm.
Bug Squad's in a really good spot right now, and when you're a damage dealer and you're behind, like the Jingwei is right now, you find it very hard to be in a position in a fight to do damage enough. And in that last fight, we're being hard on Salt, but Invisible Red Ink to me lost that fight when he dashed in, missed his pluck, and then died.
Very awkward situation for him, but I do like the fact that he has decided to pick up the Emperor's armor here. This is designed to try and help them siege. It's giving them that 6v5. Yes, it is awkward that Sandcrash, who we haven't said anything about because he physically hasn't been in this game, is level 14 and 3 levels down. Toothless picking up a Rage here, though. Absolutely love it. This is the time when you are picking up a Rage because you are looking for a team fight and you are in a position where you should be winning those team fights.
Invisible Red Ink really needs to be careful this fight. He needs to pluck for peel. And
but that's not going to
blink in as Jingwei beads. Sobek's going in onto the Wheelish. Kraken coming out right on top as the suns rain down.
Very good work there. Wheelish forced very low. Missed pluck. Isn't able to find it. And a good stun from Hoyi will keep them in check. Circuit are not able to follow up onto the Geb either because the Golden Apple of Discord comes with a cripple.
Meanwhile, Jingwei is 1 HP right now. Achilles has been diving Poseidon and Jingwei in their fountain.
So very good fight.
26:05 on the clock here as they're looking to start the siege.
Break the base. It's breaking this base. In terms of warding as well, just no darks given. They've really tried to set up this warding defensively, but none of that mattered because Chiron just said, you know what, we're going to do this now. I'm going to blink in the ults. And he sets up that whole thing. No one on No Dots Given was ready for it.
Well,
absolutely no one.
This is the problem whenever you pick an Arshio Sobek and then the Arshio Sobek both frontline. You have to have somebody peeling because the Poseidon and Jingwei right now are getting zero support from their team. And I mean, that's why they can't put out damage. That's why these Krakens are hasty, because he cannot self-peel enough in the middle of a fight. Phoenix will fall for him to be effective right now. And honestly, frontlining is the most important role in Smite. I know people are going to say, oh, it's the jungler, Illy. You're a silly goose. But in the middle of a team fight, if your support and your solo laner do not peel effectively, your team will lose.
Yeah, it's all very well saying that, oh, I'm the damage dealer, therefore I'm the one who gets the kills, but you know, you're not gonna hit everything completely blind, and you shouldn't be. And if you are being aggressed onto and you're not physically being allowed to push your buttons, then you need help from the rest of your team.
Right now, the only buttons that Saltastica and Sandcrash can push are F and H, or whatever their active.
F, H, and F6, I think, is going to be the ones, as we see Gold Fury and Pyromancer falling down. The Spugg squad have pushed open a base. They've got themselves a Phoenix. I want to see them back up and buy up. They have now pushed themselves into an 11 or 12,000 gold lead and a 14,000 experience lead. This game should be them systematically now going down and winning these lanes.
Effectively, this is Spugg's game to lose. And I'm not talking about the player, I'm talking about the team. You've got a Discordia that isn't even level 20 yet, and you have a massive lead. I mean, Hui's not even level 20. They're not full build yet. These players will be chunking.
It is scary to see that. And whilst we may have been saying that no ducks given, you know, they've got 3 kills, don't get me wrong, but they've only been on Discordia. And fair enough, Discordia has a quiet game. Spugg has not had a quiet game. Contrast has not had a quiet game. Toothless has not had a quiet game.
Toothless has... I mean, I criticized the guy super hard for not building beads in game 1, and I'm still not going to let him forget it. But he stepped up the game here. These Suns have been on point. The ricochets have done work. He's auto-attacking.
We will not talk about the one over the potential invade on the buff. That didn't happen.
It was optimistic. You know, everybody ults a purple buff now and again. You know, PBM did it. You could do it too.
Hey, who was it who sashed who tried to sash a mana buff? There is footage of SPL players trying to sash onto jungle buffs, but you see Sandcrash is trying to just farm up thanks to the increased XP that waves give, he will start catching up fairly quickly. And as soon as Toothless hits level 20, it's all on him just to catch up at that point. So right now, though, it's about that Fire Giant. Fire Giant spawns in 30 seconds. So everyone is now looking to be there at that Fire Giant.
Spugg squad is really going to look to force a fight here as Geb's going to roll in aggressively, double knockup. Elish, double knockup as well. That one's harder. Strife hits 2. Unruly Magic and a Geb ult. There's a Kraken on top, but Geb is still alive.
Good chase now. No one's looking at the Fire Giant anymore. The blinks come through. Contrast picks up Yoda. And now everyone's still diving under the tower. Achilles tanking up a storm as it stands. Discordia. This Discordia, though, Spugg puts down the Cake Bearer thanks to being a cripple out from the Discordia's Golden Apple of Discord. And now, with 2 people dead and ultimates down from No Ducks Given, Phoenix being looked at by Spugg and the squad.
This is a Phoenix. And, you know, I think Invisible Red Ink and Yoda should look back at that footage and look at Geb's positioning. Because Geb was standing next to his Discordia.
Is this game?
I think this might be game.
They forced Poseidon's Bead and Aegis.
1v2.
It was disgusting to see what happened there. They aren't going to be able to end here. Bit trigger happy on it. They did get Salt's Beads and Aegis, but with people respawning as quickly as they are, that they're going to be looking for this Fire Giant now. So, if you're looking at No Ducks Given here, I know that we're saying in the absolute worst of all situations here, this game is over. Where and why and what are you doing differently? Because I think the picks are fine here.
Well, the first thing I'm doing is I'm gonna take Yoda, and I'm gonna take Invisible Red Ink, and I'm gonna put him in a Discord call, or a Skype call, or a TeamSpeak call, and I'm gonna introduce them to Saltastica and Sandcrash, because I don't know that they know who those people are right now, because they are running away from their carries. They're trying to carry. They're playing like assassins. And they're playing like Fed solo laners or Fed warriors. They need to play like behind Guardians because that's where they are, and they need to peel. It may seem like a dumb question, but one thing that I like to ask new support players is, what does Sovereignty do? Well, give people an aura. All right. What does the aura do? It gives them an aura, but only when you're next to them. You must be next to them. And you know, I used to do this a lot. It's very tempting to say, I'm tanky, I'm going to hold W, and I'm going to try to kill the enemy team. You won't do that. You need to keep your carries alive. I'm being very harsh here, but this might be a sneaky fire?
No, I don't think they're looking for it. They end up spotting out the ward there, but they don't go for it. They could have still held on that, though. With their Phoenix respawning over in the left-hand side, they do want to try and hold on to that. That's where Sandcrash is currently positioning themselves, and they just need farm right now. They are saying, look, guys, I'll turn up when I can, because right now, I'm not going to do anything in these fights. I'm just going to die, and it's a 4v5. Let's just hold, keep our fingers crossed, and hope that Spugg squad can't break the base.
That's where the defense has got to be right now, and you know I'm looking at Archeo cripples. I'm looking at Sobek 2s. You know, these are basic abilities. You know, they're not the big ultimates. You know, it's not like, oh my gosh, there's a Kraken. But I honestly think Archeo stun, Sobek tail whip, Sobek pluck are going to be the most influential abilities that'll tell me how this fight goes, because they must be on this Achilles or the Awilish if it dives.
Yeah, I just want to see No Ducks Given actually put the Geb and Awilish in combat, because every time they've gone for an engagement, it's always been off a blink. Find someone who can get them in combat. You have reasonable long-range poke to put them in combat.
That's tricky, though.
To do that.
Yeah, because if you commit your Archeo 3 to it, then your Archeo's stepping up. And if your Archeo steps up, she's only level 14. You know, you might get blown up. You might get blown up. It's possible. You know, you get Hui stunned into a bunch of Discordia damage. You're at the very least, you're out of the fight, and you got to walk back to base. I think you might just have to take the blink and peel like your brains depend on it.
Okay, then. Well, at 32 04 looks like we're going to be seeing Spugg Squad move themselves up, rewarding out this little spot that sits between sort of these the two lanes here. It's always been a good spot to have
Sentry.
warded, just because of the fact that you can see those rotations if anyone's trying to be sneaky and go for a wraparound play.
Right, and a lot of sieging has to do with I push one wave while another one's pushing, and then we go in at the same time, because that's the most effective way to do it. So having that extra vision is certainly very important for both squads here.
Interesting last item for the game actually goes for the Witchblade there. Not knowing we usually see being picked up. And I like it when in terms of these defenses, is Geb and Achilles just do what they want to do here, and that's walk at people. Ho Yi
Biden's 1
pushes
HP
down.
though.
He's still, the Phoenix falls in that. Sobek looking to try and find it, will find Ho Yi, but gets plucked back and puts so much damage into it. Meanwhile, over on the front side, Poseidon couldn't even get back to the fountain, gets CC'd to death by Chiron.
Poseidon and Jingwei are being dove in their fountain by an Achilles, while Arcio is under Phoenix and Sobek is almost under tier 2. You may as well not build auras. You know, I'm serious. The Circuit is actually going to get blown up. This Golden Apple of Discord goes through where Circuit used to be, as Arcio is going to get knocked up by the Awilish. Titan is falling.
Titan is very low, and I think even though we've got a little bit of stasis, we should be able to just let you guys know that, yes, there was no turnaround play here. That was game, ladies and gentlemen. An unfortunate look for no ducks given. But I know we were really negative on this side of things. I know I was hypercritical.
Easy to fix.
Very easy to fix stuff.
Yes.
And they have shown good potential here. They've actually gone and said, hey, look, we know we can build a comp. We know what we're looking to try and do with the comp. It's just getting those little things fixed up.
Right.
Getting those mindsets reset in these things. Build-wise, you know, there's nothing overly, you know, drastic that is like, oh, that lost them the game because they built like this. There was nothing like that. It was just, little things like that. Little things.
You know, it's one of those things where, honestly, MVP for me this game is Contrast. Because he identifies that Yoda and Red Ink are ignoring their carries, and he says, okay, I'll hold W and do a lot of damage. You know, and he's got an execute, so he doesn't have to kill him. He just has to get him low. And Spugg was able to do a little bit of range CC. Toothless throwing out the sun, zoning very, very well. Mystic helping peel for Toothless. Chiron, excellent on the shields. Honestly, Spugg Squad deserves this game 3 after the team fights that we saw out of them.
Honestly, this if you showed me game 1 and game 2, I wouldn't have said that there had been a game. You know, they messed up in the middle. They didn't do it because they looked so clean both times. Sure, Discordia ends up having a bad game, but nobody else dies the entire time. Nobody else falls for it. And what does Discordia fall back to do? All right, then. I'm just going to make sure that I've got penetration so that I can get through to you guys. And I'm going to sit in the back. And when they dive onto a Ho Yi, I'm a peel for him.
Right.
And it works.
And it's the textbook team fight, right? The mid peels for the hunter, peels for the mid, while they have a support back there helping them both. And that's how you do it. And then your AD, or your assassin and your warrior dive if you can. You know, so I'm thinking Contrast has a well-deserved MVP coming his way after this game.
Indeed. And I do just want to bring that last point. You mentioned both Contrast and Chiron. That left-hand side Phoenix Siege, sure, there were blinks. Sure, there was the big engagement ultimates. But literally, what do they do other than that? They stand in front of the Circuit. They stand in front of the Jingwei and say, no, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Ho Yi spends the entire time committing beads through a Poseidon ult to get that Phoenix. The entire time. And as soon as that's done, backing up, see what's following up. Sobek's chasing us, peel him off, peel him off, peel him off. Poseidon's low off on the sideline, Geb Achilles, go walk at him some more. You know, go for a walk. Absolutely fantastic play there.
But on the other hand, I want to make sure that credit is where it's due. I saw Cake Baker hit some insane blink daggers.
Yeah.
There were blink double taunts at 180-degree angles. And
it was good.
Baker definitely did a great job there.
Yeah.
But Geb Shield into Circuit is just, what do? You know?
You don't pick
Circuit.
Roll over and cry. But although this has been a very long and stasis-heavy situation, we do just want to point out as well, Contrast did earn that MVP. But this has been week 2. These teams still have at least another week of group play, and then we're looking into finals. If this is the kind of thing that these teams are doing, I'm so looking forward to what's coming tomorrow and next week.
I am as well, honestly, because these players are bronze, silver, gold players, and honestly, at that level,
could have fooled me.
A lot of people screw up team fights, and that's where you lose. And I think No Ducks Given was kind of the example of that. And Spugg Squad is the example of, hey, I learned how to team fight, and I do it really well.
Well, congratulations to Team 3, as they are officially called for that. We will be back tomorrow with NA set. Hopefully we have a few less stasis modes. Thank you very much for putting through with the technical difficulties. We know Spectator can be a cruel mistress at times, but we do what I can to keep it running as smoothly as possible. So thank you, not only to you guys for putting up with that, but also as well, I just want to shout out to production, Wackee. You were freaking killing it the entire time through everything. So thank you very much for that. Any final thoughts before we head off right now, Illy?
My final thought is GG, in the words of Bart.
Well, that will certainly do it then. GG's all around. Like I said, tomorrow around the same sort of time, we will be coming back with an NA set for you guys to watch. So do make sure you tune in then. But in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you may be. And we will see you all tomorrow.